You're listening to The Pete Shepard Show.
Well, good morning, everybody. I don't see me, Angel, but good morning anyway, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. There I am. Hey, how are you? Happy Thursday. This is the Pete Shepard Show here, the Coastal Sports Network. It is August 8th. It is a Thursday. We have exhibition football, baby, starting tonight. Two great games. Panthers at the Patriots, Lions at the Giants. There's more coming up on Friday and Saturday. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to the show. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out across our awesome video platform on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Following me at PShep326 on Twitter X, Facebook, SR1029 The Game, and SR1029thegame.com, where you can download the app. More on that in a couple of minutes. We are powered by Ion Tampa Bay, Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. And you can call or text the show 727-858-6650. Lots to get to today. As always, we got NFL news. We got college football news as well. Jim Harbaugh back in the news again after the NCAA came down hard on him when he was with Michigan, not being facetious. But we'll give you all the fancy terminology, which basically comes down to a slap on the wrist, which is what we thought. So college football news. NFL camp news from yesterday, Olympic update, MLB rundown, and a classic yesterday. I love it. My good friend Mike Reese, who is one of the best NFL reporters in the country, has been covering the New England Patriots for a long time, and he is just one of those guys that when he says something, you just trust him implicitly. He has total integrity. Well, the flagship station and my friends, Michael Felger and Tony Maserati up in Boston yesterday. And look, the background of them, they started on WEI with me and Glenn Ordway and me and hosted plenty of shows with those guys over the years. I grant them everything for what they did when they moved over to 98.5 The Sports Hub. And Tony was a writer for the Boston Herald, still a very good writer, one of the best baseball guys in the biz. But these guys strictly, what they do is, and you've heard other people come on the show, and Meter will back me up when he comes on later today. Everything always starts negatively here, and then they dare you to make it to be positive. And this whole thing about the Brandon Ayuk thing, they've turned it, and this is what I do not miss up there, is to have 4 hours of this sort of bullshit about how the Patriots, and I'm quoting some of the quotes. You're going to hear it because we're going to play a chunk of what about how the discussion / argument went down. Mike Reese does not get angry very often. He got pissed yesterday, and I don't blame him. And trust me, Felger and Maz will relish this because people like me are going to play it and discuss it. It doesn't take away from the fact that I just, when you're the flagship station for the Patriots, I'm not saying be fanboy or kiss ass or anything like that, because I've sat here very succinctly over the last couple of days and said, Brandon Ayuk, it's really simple. He's not coming here because right now the Patriots aren't very good. I don't think they're a pathetic organization. I don't think some of the words that these guys use were so over the top and stupid, to be honest with you, and facts that are incorrect that Mike Reese points out with them. They just want to sort of they want to antagonize everybody and get you to call, and that's why they've had the top-rated sports show in the country getting 20+ shares, and the whole station does great on a whole. And they do a great job over there. There's no question about it. I like them both personally very much. This is about, but they got called out on it by Mike Reese, and they questioned sort of his integrity, and he just blasted the shit out of them. Now you got to remember. Negativity in sports radio sells. A lot of these guys do it. Sometimes I don't even know if they really believe what they're saying. But one of Maz's best lines all the time is 2 words. But Mike. Or yes, Mike. Again, I say that not that he doesn't have a mind of his own, because he does. And they do a great job over there. You can't mess with the ratings. There's no doubt about it. Now they're hanging on in the company by the skin of their skinny, barely. And that station is probably keeping that company afloat right now, as most of you know. But that's another story that they're going to have to deal with in time. And I don't know. I still don't know how they're going to repay the Patriots all that money for the broadcasting rights. But good luck with that down the road. But the negativity that it's really simple. Brandon Ayuk didn't want to come here because the Patriots aren't very good. End of story. They want to turn into, well, the guaranteed money was never there. It was a good contract. The $30 million a year was a good contract, but the guaranteed money was never there. But like they know this, and they don't, and they know. Felger's also the type of guy over the years that's gone. The cap is crap and all that stuff. It's just amazing how Bill Belichick, the sucky GM, and nobody's perfect, but the sucky GM and coach is somehow, for about 21 years, had this team in contention to win the Super Bowl just about every single year, despite some of the shit that he had to hear from their flagship station. And again, there's nothing wrong with critiquing moves, and certainly Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization should be criticized at times. I get that, but when you start, as every pro franchise should, there is nothing wrong with that. They should be questioned. But when you start making shit up and you start questioning the integrity of one of the best reporters in the country, in Mike Reiss, I have a real problem with that, and so did he. So I'm just going to play. Angel has it queued up about this. I'm not going to play the whole 17-minute interview, obviously, but let me just show you what happens for those of you who are unfamiliar with sports radio in the Northeast. And Angel can attest to this as well, because this has happened in Philadelphia and New York and stuff. And you got hosts sometimes that say stuff. And I'm glad Mike Reiss, and maybe they did it on purpose, knowing that Mike, this was not like a paid appearance or anything like that. Mike called in and videoed in on his own. And I love Mike to death, and I'll try to get him on this show as well, and maybe tomorrow if he's got a few minutes. But I know he's so busy in that camp. So I'll just play this for you, and then we'll dissect and analyze it as well. But this is what happens when hosts. And let me tell you something about Felger, okay? And like I said, personally, professionally, this guy got fucking kicked off 2 beats. He got kicked off the Bruins beat for calling Jeremy Jacobs a thief back in the day from the Boston Herald. And he got basically thrown off the Patriots beat as well for being lazy. And you know what? That's a fact. Those are facts. And then you come back at me with any other bullshit they want of me on the radio. I don't give a shit. I am so way past that. This is why I love doing this, and I love that Angel's here exec producing and co-hosting and doing a great job on this network, because I can do what I want and not get called into the office, because it's my office. And I'm just telling you, want facts? Those are facts I just gave you. So let's hear the brilliance of these two yesterday. And then Mike Reiss, I think, eviscerated them for much of it. So here's some of the conversation. We'll just keep going here, Angel, until I say stop.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm just curious, because to me, Mike, it feels the only way you're going to get a Brandon Ayuk is if there is a no strings attached, massive guarantee offer. Like that, to me, is their only path to a guy like that.
So let me ask you this, Mike. You mentioned their history with contracts. What is the history that you're referencing? Is it from 2000 to 2023, or does that include this offseason?
Okay, so this offseason, it does not include this offseason.
Oh, so don't you think that's important? I mean, we're talking about a totally different thing, right?
Well, I don't know.
So, Mike,
you tell me. So just to follow this, so the new does Michael Wenu not have any per game roster bonuses?
I think he's got like weight bonuses. I'll check on that, Mike. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I think you hit to me. So I haven't been listening to you guys, and I'm ready to fight if you want to fight. But listen, the thing for me that I get people texting me, tweets coming up in the notifications. I think the insinuation that bothers me is that you think, Mike, that this information is coming from the team. So you think that the team would tell me that, and that I would go on SportsCenter and report that. And I have to be honest, Mike, I'm actually a little bit insulted by that, if that's true. I don't know if that's true because I haven't been listening, but
it's definitely how I feel. I mean, it's okay to have team sources.
And that's okay. You can feel that way. You can feel that way. But the fact that you think that I would go on SportsCenter on that platform and just say that based on something from the team, like that's why I wanted to call in. Mike, that you're creating a perception with listeners that that's the way this works. That's incredibly dangerous. Think about all the people involved in this. You have the agent, you have the player, you have 4 teams, but you are just going to narrow in that the team, hey, we're going to tell Mike this, he'll go out and say it. That's not the way this works. Like, that pisses me off because you've been in this position and you know that's not fair. That's not, and it's not accurate in this case.
Oh, okay. I mean, I used to do it.
Well, so
They would tell me stuff and I'd report it. I mean,
no, Mike, you would check it, Mike. If they told you something, you would go check with the other side because that's the right thing to do.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes I didn't, and it burned me.
So, Mike, I was going to ask you this, and
We should
frankly,
admit
I
that.
sort of stopped myself. So I'm glad that you opened this
Ask
up.
it, Tony.
No, I was
Bring it.
going to ask you this because I was going to say, when you report a story, do you try to get information validated on both sides? Because I know that some, and let me just say, but before you even answer, I oftentimes would get information from one side, and I would say, according to a source, if it was a credible source. And then I got to a stage where my employer at that time said, listen, we're not going with one sources anymore. We want 2. So I was going to ask you, does ESPN have any sort of standard in that? And I didn't want to ask you outright which side did you get it from, but did you have to get it from multiple sides?
Absolutely, Tony. And in this case, if you're saying the team is being aggressive, you better have it from more than just the team. Like, you can't just take the team's word for that. That's what to me is like stunning that you would think that. It's actually sort of insulting. I still love you, Mike, but
I understand.
And your point about the guarantees is fair. I don't have that information. But when the initial information isn't coming from the team, like, and then you go, of course, I'm going to go to the team and say, this is what I have. What do you think? And they're not going to confirm or deny, but I'm not taking their information as the gospel.
So,
like,
I just don't
Just
think
pause
it's
it right
insulting
there.
as it
Just
surely
pause.
is.
Don't let it
But
go. Let's pause it right there for a second. So I want everybody to understand exactly, and I'm so proud of Mike Reese. I just sent him a text message about how much I love him, and good for him for holding his ground. But this is what happens in this business sometimes. It really, really pisses me off, that happens. Tim says New England will have a long run of losing. Price you pay. Tim, I mean, come on with that bullshit, please. You're talking about your Cowboys. Don't talk to me about long runs of losing. Your Cowboys haven't won shit in 30 years. No more Super Bowls for the Patriots. Robert Kraft will never see his team in the big game again. Get a massage. That's childish, Tim. I love you, man, but that's childish. And you want to point that hard-hitting analysis at your football team. Point that at the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, just enough of that nonsense, please, man. You're better than that. It's just you're just a hater and it's jealous, and I understand that. You're quote unquote America's team, and your team sucks. You can't get out of your own way. Your owner's a cartoon character. Your quarterback and the team are in disarray. I know where my team is. They're rebuilding. I know they're not going to be very good this year, record-wise. I'm just looking for a progression. Your team has been stuck in shithead limbo stage for decades now. So point that hard-hitting analysis at your Dallas Cowboys. I never hear you say, except that you want to move on from Dak, but you never give me a reason of who you want at your quarterback. So worry about that. Back to this. This is what happens many times in sports radio is you get people who question the integrity of really good reporters like Mike Reese. And then I'm glad he calls in and eviscerates them about, facts that what they claim, what fellow grammatics claim are facts that are not facts. It's really simple, Tony and Mike. They don't have a very good football team right now, like Mike Reese is trying to tell you. It doesn't matter. You think if they offered whatever the guarantee, whatever price you think it is, it's not going to be like $100 million. But if they offered like a significant, whatever you guys think is a significant amount of money, say it's $75 million, guaranteed. Do you 100% still believe that Brandon Ayuk would come to the Patriots? I'm not sure about that. You guys seem to think that that's what it's all about. That's simply the guaranteed money. How about a player just wants to go to a place where he feels he can win? That's what this is about. That's all it's about. If it was all about the money, he would be a Patriot, or he might go to the Cleveland Browns. It's also, you got to understand the deal. This comes with the 49ers as well. They're not just going to. I don't know what the Patriots are going to offer. I saw Bourne's name in there. I know the offer was a good offer, but maybe the 49ers, the player didn't want to come here. I think that's the first and foremost thing because they're not a very good football team. And then you've got the 49ers on the other side still trying to get the best deal for them. So Shanahan and company over there, whether it's Pittsburgh or Cleveland or some other team that may pop into this, because there always seems to be that way, you got to take into consideration the entire big picture. It is not just about because you don't think the Patriots offered enough guaranteed money. That could be the case. It might be the case, but it's not the overall deciding factor. I think that the overall deciding factor for him is this team is just not very good. All right, let's continue.
I'm not changing my mind. I mean, I do know how it works. I mean, I've been there. There are reporters that have team sources. There are reporters that are sort of mobbed up with the players. There are reporters that are great with agents. And so you sort of know what information is coming from. It's how you can sort of get to the truth. That this reporter is reporting this and he's really good with the players, or this reporter is reporting that and she's really good with the teams, and this one's good with this agent. And I know if so-and-so reports something, well, I know this guy's mobbed up with Drew Rosenhaus. So it's just a Rosenhaus.
He likes saying
I mean,
mobbed
it's
up.
just, that's sort of how and I don't blame you for being upset, but it doesn't change the way I feel about it. And
you're wrong.
And let me just say, on this specific case, presenting the AAV but not the guarantee feels like that's doing the team a favor. I'm not saying that that's exactly what you're doing, but it's really, putting out there where their offer is good and ignoring where it probably isn't.
And this is, yeah.
So I mean, you're sitting there in front of the stadium. Your office used to be inside the stadium. You've covered the team longer than anyone. You're incredibly well sourced with the team, and it's a report that makes the team look good. I mean, I don't feel crazy for saying, oh, that's coming from the team, which doesn't make you a bad person. But, you got to get it from somewhere.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how to feel, Mike, but I'm actually not sure how it makes them look good. I mean, you offer that much money and the player essentially says, I don't want to come. How does that make them look good? Exactly. I'm telling you, in my opinion, I don't think the team wants that stuff out there. And I actually think this issue, if I'm being honest, highlights a bigger issue that you have with the team over the years with their spending.
Bingo.
Oh, it's definitely a core issue of mine because I feel they deserve to be called out on it.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm sorry, Mike Reese. Let me just, because you said you weren't listening, just so you know, he did say up front that this was not any sort of commentary on you. Okay,
no, I know.
So
I love
that
you
was
guys.
look. The fact is, Mike, we've all been there. Okay, we've all covered teams, and we get used. Sometimes we get used. It's not 100%, and I'm not even saying that's happening here. But the fact that it has happened in other cases means that it can happen. Okay, so that's really all that means. But let me ask you this.
Let's stop it.
Okay, when you look at the
Let's just pause it there again. And Tony should know better. Tony was a beat reporter for the Red Sox and a very good one for a long, long time. And some of the stuff that he is spewing right now, if he was flipping, if he flipped spots right now with Mike Reese, he would be just as livid. And because it used to be that way with a lot of people used to question some of the stuff that he wrote about. And he always had what I thought were impeccable sources. If Tony was a columnist, the beat reporter, whatever he was doing, I think he did both at one time. Was a beat reporter and a columnist. If Tony would write stuff in the Boston Herald, I would believe it 99.9% of the time. He may do a column where I might disagree with some of his takes, which is fine. That's what a columnist is supposed to do. You're not supposed to write a column and everybody agree with it. You're trying to push both sides, and that's what sports radio tries to do. And sports radio is great when it's natural. But sometimes when people hold agendas, and it's not just in this situation with Felger, he's been doing this. He would do this for Super Bowl. They would win Super Bowls. He'd come on the next day and talk about what went wrong. That's the thing. Can't enjoy the moment. Look, he's from Wisconsin anyway, so I don't trust him overall anyway. Like I said, I saw the late great Pat Burns, eviscerate him at press conferences at times when covering the Bruins that were legendary, hysterical. And myself and people like Nancy Marepeace, Burrell, and other beat reporters at the time who were there every day for the Bruins, where he wasn't. And I'm talking about morning skate and they're covering every single game. And then he called Jeremy Jacobs a crook and got thrown off the beat for that, the owner of the Bruins. But Pat Burns would lay into him like you cannot believe. Used to call him out on everything. Then he covered the Patriots for a while, and then left that. And he always wanted to get in the radio, and we had him on all the time. And he was a controversial figure with us as well. And moved on, has done great things over at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I take away nothing from all the accolades. They're a Marconi Award-winning station. They're both great hosts, and they're good guys. And I like them both personally very much. But this is the type of shit that I do not miss, because this is why I like doing a national show. And I'm focusing on this today because this is going to be, I promise you, probably on Get Up in 40 minutes or First Take, Eastern Standard Time anyway. This is probably going to come up. It should come up. And Mike Reiss is like the antithesis of Stephen A. Stephen A., Mike Reiss is never going to walk through the locker room of the Patriots with a camera following him, before a big game and have the story be all about him. Mike is not like that at all. Mike Reiss is not like that at all. Just the opposite. He just got back to me. He said, "You're the best. I appreciate you." Yeah. And nobody appreciates Mike more than me. And I remember when he was first starting out, and we'd have him on show, and now he is. I say this with all due respect to everybody else in this business, a lot. I mean, my affection professionally for me, O'Brien. She's fantastic. Mike Reiss is right there. Mia might be taller than Mike, but Mike Reiss is as a professional reporter as you can get. And Tony Maz talks about getting used by the team. Man, if that's the case, Tony, because there's a lot of inside information with the Red Sox over the last 20 years that I know about, that other reporters know about, that stuff was never reported. And a lot of it had nothing to do with baseball, which I understand that, and I appreciate that. You want to keep some team secrets. But also, Tom, you say you've been used, and Chara's mom says Tony should know better than to question the process. It makes you question his skills as a reporter. Well, that's a kind of a fair point, but I never questioned Tony's skills as a reporter. But he should understand where Mike is coming from. He's not a sounding board for the Patriots. He is one of many NFL reporters that ESPN has hired to cover specific teams. And they have a reporter just about for every single team now. But I promise you, see, like sports radio in Miami, which is, it's laughable at best. Let's be honest, laughable at best. You don't get stuff like this. And I promise you, even in Tampa, my good friend Jenna Lane, like she wouldn't have to go under this scrutiny with the Tampa sports radio station. It's very, very different in the Northeast with Boston, Philadelphia, and New York. This kind of stuff is not uncommon. I think more reporters should call into radio station. I told you, we used to have Kurt Schilling would call in on his own. He was affectionately known as Kurt in the Car for many, many years, because if somebody said something about him or the team that was not accurate, he would call in and blast them and call them out on it. Tim says Dallas doesn't suck. They just have an owner that's too stubborn to hire a GM. The team is a mess. Okay, yeah. No, they suck. They suck. Yeah, they suck. How about them Cowboys? First round loss in the playoffs again. Well, as long as you know that. Yeah. Look, Tim. I get a little hot with you sometimes, but I know you mean well, and I love you, and you're a great listener and a great bond. I appreciate that. But it's hard to take the Dallas Cowboys seriously, like you said, because you can't get out of the first round in over 30 years. So when they do that, we can have a conversation. And we'll see when they move on from Dak Prescott. If they do, we'd be stupid if they did. But if they do, we'll find out who their quarterback is. But getting back to this, my overall point is that Mike Reiss is one of the most highly respected reporters in the country. And I'm glad he did this. And more people like Mike Reiss should call in and not be afraid to challenge these hosts with stuff that they say, because they did make it sound. And Tony came on and said, "Well, Mike Felger said, the beginning of the interview before they came on said no, this is not a reflection on Mike Reiss." Yes, but then you go on to imply Mike Felger that he's a sounding board for the Patriots because he didn't report the guaranteed money. So you're talking out both sides of your mouth again, which you're very good at. I still don't know how you guys get 20 shares, to be honest with you. I don't know. I still think if I did Afternoon Drive with Jerry Thornton, we would we would at least be competitive and not getting the one fucking shares that they're getting over at WEEI now and the mess that station is. But that's another story for another time. Because, I mean, to question a guy like this, it's a bad look for you guys. And to make it appear that he's a sounding board for the Patriots because you believe he didn't report the guaranteed money, then I have a real problem with that. And good for Mike Reese for coming up. Let's play just a little bit more, Angel, and then we'll go to break and come back and have some more NFL news for you. But I wanted to get this off my chest today because this really bothered me. All right, let's continue this interview. Angel, thank you.
Mike, whose story was it? Chad Graff in The Athletic that listed the receivers, DeAndre Hopkins,
Yes.
Calvin Ridley.
It was a tweet.
Okay, so when we look at their history at receiver in the last, call it 2 years, did it feel like they blew DeAndre Hopkins out of the water?
They absolutely did not. That was one, and I would agree with Mike in that case. That was one where it wasn't even close.
Okay. Did it feel, and let me just go through the sequence. Did it feel like they blew Calvin Ridley out of the water?
That one I think is more close to, we're going to go above and beyond.
Did Tennessee give him more?
I don't know, Tony. Did they give him more? I don't remember.
Okay.
I think the Patriots were giving him more, right?
Okay, so again,
it was
I
around
suppose
23
an
million.
AAV maybe, but there's no way to know on the guaranteed part of it, and I submit that we won't know on the guaranteed part of it. Our general premise is this.
There you go again. There you go. I don't know the guaranteed part of it. Look, you can. The DeAndre Hopkins things. I believe it. I mean, 100%. I think they had a chance there and dropped the ball. So here I am criticizing them for that. Now, this year they had a lot of salary cap money. They had the stuff to pay players like Brandon Ayuk. The bottom line is the guy simply didn't want to come here. And I don't know, whatever number Mike Felger and Tony Maz want to make up for what they believe is guaranteed money, because nobody knows for sure yet. Nobody knows if anybody's going to find out, it'll be Mike Reese. And I'm sure they'll report it. But I just, it would have to be so overwhelming for him to come here. And look, 50, 60, 75 million, that may not have been enough for him. Combine that with the way the team is currently constructed. There's not a lot of free agents that are going to want to come to the Patriots right now. It was like that back in the day as well, before Bill Parcells took over. It was horrible. Nobody wanted to come to the Patriots until Bill Parcells got hired and they drafted Drew Bledsoe. Nobody. It was a joke. The stadium was like a high school stadium. The locker room was in a weight room. It was terrible. And right now, the Patriots, obviously, they're in a rebuilding mode. And then these guys go on to say, we're not going to play any more of this interview, Angel, but they start going about, well, there's questions about the coaching staff. No shit. Hey, there's questions about every coaching staff. You got veteran coaches out there. There's questions about the coaching staff. How about we play a game first? Can we play a game first before we start ripping the coaches? Gerard Mayo, the guy is a football savant, eats, breathes, and sleeps football. And Scott, Alex Van Pelt and company. Can we just see a little sample? Just give me, Felger Maz, give me a small sample size, for Christ's sake, first. For God, please. Let's just see some games first before you open up this hard-hitting analysis, because you two fucking clowns for the Celtics this entire season shit all over them on the whole. You said, admittedly, we don't like covering teams that win or win championships. It's boring for us. Then find another topic then. Find another topic. But see, that's what happens in media markets in the Northeast, because it's all pro sports related, and they can't even, the lint in my belly button has more college football knowledge and basketball knowledge than they ever will. But it doesn't move the needle. So they're going to sit there. These guys are going to sit here for 2 fucking weeks and talk about how the Patriots suck so badly that the coaching staff stinks because Brandon Ayuk spurned them and didn't want to come because overall they're just not a very good football team.
Yep.
There you go. I'm off my soapbox. And,
No,
it's not my soapbox. It's a fact. I mean, if you want facts, Pilgrim Maz, there's a fucking fact for you right there.
No, you're right, because
I know I'm right.
the funny part was that they want to. It was almost like they wanted to attack Mike by saying, "Oh, you're not credible." It's almost what it sounded like in the very beginning of the interview process when he started.
That's what he said. They like tried to fake it. Like,
Right.
I said, this is not about questioning Mike Reese's integrity. Then you go on to say that he's a sounding board for the Patriots because he didn't put up guaranteed money, and Mike feels, his penis shrivel up or something. Whatever it is, just gets all, anti-moved. So I mean, it's to me, it's just kind of shit. It's so transparent, and this is what these guys have done for years. And God bless them. It's been successful for them. It has. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how, but it has been. When I was doing the big show with Glenn and these two guys were on, we would have fun. If they said stuff like this and Mike Reeves would call in, we would do bits about this forever for both of them. And, we all used to get ribbed a lot on the station, big time, for different things and different sayings and all that stuff. And I have no problem with that. And those two took their share of lumps as well. So I'm not saying that. And they have thick skin. There's no question. They both have thick skin. And like I said, I like them both personally very much. I really do. But I just think this is where it's not just this one particular time. It's not just these two particular hosts. This happens all the time, particularly in the Northeast. You don't hear this kind of shit go on in Miami. You don't hear this kind of crap go on in Los Angeles. It doesn't happen. And the one reason why it doesn't happen is because people aren't as passionate. I mean, are there any worse fans than Miami Dolphin fans? And right now, even though I love the Hurricanes, Hurricane fans, I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. Miami is not like this hotbed of sports radio information. It's actually laughed at for the most part around the country. It's laughed at because it's so soft and irrelevant. But you don't get this kind of stuff out in Los Angeles, Colorado, Minnesota, Milwaukee. I mean, it doesn't happen. And it's because of the passion of the fans, because it's so pro sports oriented, and it's very parochial. In the Northeast, that's right. What it is. It's in Philadelphia. It's Phillies. It's Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, 76ers. Same thing in New York. As big a hotbed and a melting pot as New York is, they don't get a lot of calls. Even though St. John's is now back on the map, they don't get a lot of St. John's and Syracuse calls over there. It is Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets, New York Rangers, once in a while New York Islanders. And in the Northeast, where these guys are, and I know because I went through it, it was Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots, not necessarily in that order. Right. That's how it is in those markets. It's very, very different. Even in Dallas. Now we saw the little scrum that happened with in Tennessee last week with the reporter there, and one of the players walked by and called him out on something, and they had a little brouhaha while they were interviewing another player. But that's nothing compared to stuff like this. So anyway, and I'm not saying it's better. It's different. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying you start doing this. I couldn't do this anymore like that. I couldn't take calls for 4 hours about Brandon Ayuk and have all these ridiculous fucking conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call them, blaming reporters, not blaming reporters, guessing about guaranteed money when you don't know. Yeah, you want to throw it out there. It's a good poll question. And then what else you got? But this is what happens in the Northeast. You get stories like this, and they go on forever and ever and ever. And then you're missing out on the meat and potatoes of the team. Not just want to talk X's and O's all the time, but they love this kind of drama. They love it up there. And it's something that I do not miss. Certainly it's a topic to discuss. And certainly for a couple of days, and I get that. But you watch, they'll be talking about this before September, up until opening kickoff. The questioning of the coaches really, really cracks me up because you don't know shit. And both of you aren't there every day. You don't know what's going on. And how any of us going to know about the coaches until we actually see a regular season game.
Right. And that's
or a sample size of games.
Yep. And it's things that we mentioned because the same way I can talk until I'm blue in the face about what happened last season and it is last season, whatever, but we've yet to see what's going to happen. Preseason games are tonight. There's a couple that will be going on tonight. A couple more will be going on tomorrow night. We won't see the impact until week one, especially the
we
Eagles,
won't
when
see
they
an
terribly
impact.
go.
We won't see an impact probably until October 1st, because
Right.
depending on how long these starters play, we talk about it all the time, and I'm going to take a break in a second. As far as you got to get the chemistry together. You got to we'll see. Now Jacoby Brissett's going to probably start tonight for the Patriots. I'm sure I'm going to see a lot of Drake May and others, on this team tonight against the Carolina Panthers. So yeah, you're going to see Jacoby Brissett. You're going to see Drake May. You're going to see Joe Milton III. You watch the reviews. If Joe Milton III, who can just fling the ball, as we've seen, 80 yards with flicking his wrist, you watch, he will be the media's paper champion. Some of the media, not guys like Mike Reese, but others. They're going to be, see, the Patriots got the wrong guy, or Drake May, Joe Milton's. You'll hear all that stuff. And it's going to happen with your Philadelphia Eagles, Angel, in the preseason. And they don't play until, I believe, they play Saturday. I got the schedule up here. The Eagles play at the Ravens on tomorrow night at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, I don't know how many of the starters are going to play. I look for the fundamentals in these exhibition games. All right, quick break, and when we come back, more on this, and you guys as well. You can chime in at 727-858-6650. That is the number to call or text, plus across the entire video platform. This is the Pete Shepard Show right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey. Why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Pete Shepherd Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
Welcome back to the Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out here across the video platform. Yes, I'm wearing my standard Sunday football shirt, my Patriots shirt. It's actually nice. I like the black with the red. I got a lot of compliments on this shirt. Peanut Gallery got me this a long time ago. It's different. I like it. Anyway, thanks for checking us out across the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Follow me on Twitter, X at PShep326, Facebook, SR1029 The Game, and SR1029thegame.com. Angel will we're going to learn you the app. We're going to learn you the app. I say he's going to learn you the app in a second. Ion TV, we're powered by Ion Tampa Bay, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. You can call or text the show 727-858-6650. Also going to welcome aboard by tomorrow. The spot should be up or later today. Jimmy the Beef Guy is going to be joining us on the program, and he's got two great shops, Chicago style sandwich shops. And you know him from the other place. He used to sponsor all our sandwich bets and everything else. And now he's got a new store in Fort Myers that's killing it. Was there having lunch the other day with Paul, a good friend, Paul Kelly. And then, of course, he has his very established store already in Bonita. But the one, I don't know, when I left, there was a line getting in. And so Jimmy the Beef Guy going to be joining, one of the new sponsors here on this show, on the Pete Shepherd Show on the Coastal Sports Network. But Angel, school some of these people about the app, because I know it's like foghorn like I said, but boy, I learned. I know you say it, and I know you say it succinctly, but you got to, this business is all about repetition. So as we used to say, follow the bouncing ball, follow the cue here. Not Rich Quinones, who's now doing the Drive with Q on 3 to 5 p.m., which is fantastic with Rich Quinones now. Listened on and off yesterday when I could. Excellent show. And but here's Angel. This is how you download the app, step by step. Yeah. Not to quote New Kids on the Block, but yes.
Good song by them, by the way, too. But
not really.
I fear for the fans that are listening in, they did have better hits, but that's kind of one of those. I think that might have been. I can't remember if off their second album or not. But anyways, you guys.
The right stuff is the right stuff is the only song I like by them. But
the right stuff was good.
And I've met all of them. They're all funny. It's funny. I tell this real story real quick. It was where Super Bowl were we at? Oh, the 2007 Arizona, the one where the undefeated Patriots lost to the Giants. But the pre-party we had on that Saturday, we did our show, and then we had a big spread. We blocked off we had two blocks that the station rented out or whatever. It's a huge block party of fans and everything else. And the VIP section of food that whoever ordered it back then was so horrible and embarrassing. So we get done, and I'm start having cocktails and stuff, and this politician and that politician walking in, and some celebrities. So then a couple guys, Joy McIntyre and Donnie Wahlberg come in and shooting the shit with them for a couple of minutes. And then Don says, "What's up with the food?" And I go, "What? You don't like the spaghetti in the sun that's been sitting there for 3 hours?" It was like that, and chicken fingers was so fucking bad. I'm like, guys, I'm embarrassed. He goes, "I think you should get free booze." He goes, "Yeah." So he goes, "Who do I complain to?" I said, "Go see that person right over there." And goes, well, he took it in stride. It's funny. But they're all good guys. And the thing about the Wahlbergs and I've met them all. Chef Paul is the best. Chef Paul, who you've probably seen on the show Wahlburgers, but he is a great chef. He was in the South Shore of Massachusetts in Hull for a long time and some other restaurants. You talk about the straw that stirs the drink. That guy keeps everybody sane. Chef Paul Wahlberg. He's just a terrific guy. Can't say enough good things about him. Mark and Donnie get all the press and all that stuff. And this is the last thing I'll say. I remember he was cooking one day at the restaurant, and he came over and said hello. We were sitting at the bar, and it was the night of the Oscars. It was the night The Departed came out. I've told this story before, but it was the night The Departed came out, and I said, "Geez," I said, "Paul," I said, I'll just call him Chef. I said, "Chef Paul," which he was not like that, by the way. He's like, "Call me Paul." I said, "Paul," I said, "How come you're not? I thought you might be in Hollywood tonight at the Oscars." He goes, "Nope." He goes, "When I'm done here," he goes, "I'm taking some stuff over to my mom's house in Southie, and we're going to meet and a couple of other relatives are going to sit back with my mom and just watch." He's like, "I have no desire to go out as much as I'm rooting for him, to win it." He goes, "No, we're just gonna chill." That's the way they work. That's the way. I think some people misinterpret how some actors or some celebrities, they want publicity all the time. There's certainly a big portion of them out there, but these guys, not so much. So I have a lot of respect for them. Anyway, now follow the bouncing angel icon here as to how to download the app.
Yeah. Speaking of celebrities up north, how about Ben Affleck and the old Bennifer getting divorced? I don't know why they got together in the first place, but that's another one. But
I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Weren't they in love like 2 weeks ago? So in love again. I thought I saw them on vacation together somewhere, but
Oh, well, it's a New England.
Strike two.
Exactly.
I don't know how you blow with J-Lo. I don't know how you blow with J-Lo twice. And I have no idea. So there's always two sides to a story. But anyway,
there is.
Now, app. How do people download it?
All right. Well, you guys see on the screen all the time the SR1029, thegame.com. You guys see it up there all show long, no matter if it's my show, Pete's show, Rich's show, any shows, even the night show.
Do you have an icon? Do you have a little arrow you can show people?
I sure do, because if you scroll down a little bit here on the page, what you guys will end up seeing is a live show. That's why I always say, in case you guys can't see it on the socials, it's always available on SR1029thegame.com. And they don't... Good thing is, when I put our live feed on the website, YouTube or anybody else can't bleep me out or do whatever they do, because everything is always raw, real, and live on the website. Also, you guys can text the show. You hear me talking about all the time. You can call the show directly from the app as well. And the app, by the way, is right below it. And you guys can see that where it says download the app. There's 3 arrows pointing up. That green box with the 2 iPhones, the MacBook, Windows, tablet, whatever you use, just click on that. All you got to do is click on it. And basically what I'll end up doing is taking you to the install page. And right there on the next page, which I have to share this tab instead, you guys will end up seeing the install button. All you got to do is install it. Just follow the instructions. Super simple. It is to any device, Macs, Windows, Apples, Androids, anything that you have. You can install it right there. It's too simple process. It'll give you the instructions while you guys are downloading it. It is not available on the app stores as of yet. It takes about 4 months for it to come through the app stores because you have to clear everything. So I made it easy for everyone up there. All you got to do is click on it, hit install, and it'll basically take you right through exactly what you need. But to go back here to the website for a second, you guys can also see the lineup, the schedule of the shows that's up there. Moynihan Lumber, by the way, thanks to them for coming on board with us. It's been about a month now with Moynihan. We've got a couple other folks that are going to be jumping on board here shortly. And then also you can listen in, if you guys can see me circling around up there on the radio player. All you got to do is hit play on the radio player, and I won't hit it now because we'll get a double feedback. but you guys can end up hitting play. So if you're at the house,
feedback.
Exactly. But you guys, if you're working out somewhere or you're working out the house, now you're stepping out, you got to go to the meeting. All you have to do is just pause the live video that you guys see here, come right over, hit the play on the radio player so you can play it in your car. And then once you get to wherever your location is, go back to the video player or pick up right where you left off. So we try to make it super simple for everybody. I talk about it all the time. All we ask is, hey, listen, download the app. You'll be able to listen to all the shows. Oh, and speaking of CSN Bets, there's a couple things that are coming up here shortly with CSN Bets. But on the sports radio tab, if you guys go down, you can click on this drop-down menu. And if you highlight any of the people that are in there, it'll take you directly to their social media handles. You can see the schedules of all the shows. Of course, the Middays with Q is going to be changed to the Drive with Q. But the beautiful thing is Pete's show, which we see live once again, plus the shows that are on the network. The great thing about this is that you guys can go right down. You get a little backdrop of our host here on the air and on the network, their logo, the tweets they put out there, and then the instant replay of the show. As soon as the show is over, if you missed today's show, it'll be up there. So if you go and watch the show now, if you hit the instant replay, it is a show from yesterday, but also the audio of the show is up there as well. So we basically make it a one-stop shop for everyone. There's the one with the Drive with Q. So we just try and make it super simple for everybody. At least that's what I try to do. Therefore, and it's a one-stop shop convenience, and it's super simple. So hopefully you guys end up downloading the app. But I want to go back for a second to the conversation that we started off with this morning. That super hot take is that there's a lot of parts, Pete, where you're right, where in the Northeast, they love to do either they get a nugget of a story, and either instead of coming out and stating the facts, and I've got a good amount of friends of mine that are still in the business back in Philly, but one friend in particular that they're, because of the economy and stuff, their company stopped doing as much coverage as used to do before. But the one thing he used to do, and I'm not going to put his name out there because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want it out there, but everybody who was on his team, he made sure that everyone had the correct facts, don't spew out information that's not correct or any of that stuff. But I know up in the Northeast, they continue to do so. They do it, to try and get listening ears and ratings and all the good fun stuff. But Mike, I think, defended himself really well. Not that he needed to, but I think the points that he came out with is just what
Mike Rishami, not Mike Pelfrey.
Yeah. So it's just, to me, it's one of those things that it continues up north. It's no different from it. And like you said, even down here, locally here, even in the Tampa area, you got Fox 13 that's down here. And not for nothing, but there's not enough coverage. You'll never get coverage like you do up north. Down in Miami, the same exact way. I mean, the Marlins are listen.
Nobody cares.
You guys are an absolute joke down there. You seem to beat the Phillies, so I can't say you're an absolute joke. And you've had won 2 World Series. But it's just not here. Florida's been all about college sports.
The market in Miami is not a great market. Let's be honest. It just isn't. There's not a lot of great sports talk show hosts down there. It just isn't.
No.
Or it's changed, and maybe there used to be. It's just I think the broadcast team for the Dolphins is it's ridiculous. Now, my buddy Joe Zagacki, who's awesome, who does the Miami Hurricanes, I think their staff and what they do over there is terrific. And I'm not saying everybody is soft down there, but it's just you don't get the passion. The only passion you're getting is from transplants down there who want to talk about other teams, which probably a lot of the local hosts don't want to talk about. But how do you sit there? And it's tough. It's a tough thing. How do you sit there in Miami and talk about the Marlins? You can't. I mean, you got to talk about everybody else. I mean, except what a pathetic organization that they are. Now, there is a case where you are a pathetic organization. And I don't see it getting any better. Even Miami Dolphin fans, I don't think that Miami talk. I don't think phones are lighting up. And maybe because of Tua's contract and stuff, that's a hot topic. So maybe that is. And I don't listen to a lot of Miami sports radio, so that's a topic. But overall, I mean, you can feel the vibe. I know people are calling up and talking about the Hurricanes, and maybe they are now, and they should be this year. They really should be. Or maybe they're going to wait till at least the game for Florida. But it's a completely different market down here and a lot of other places around the country. That's why I love doing this, Angel, especially with you, because I combine everything. I'm a passionate Northeast sports fan and a Miami Hurricanes fan, but I'm not afraid to rip my teams when they deserve it. I've done it plenty of times. I picked the Red Sox to be in last place. I'm pleasantly surprised. Beyond pleasantly surprised. They're engaged. I know I'm realistic about the Patriots. They're not a good football team right now, record-wise. all I know is that I want to see some progression. I don't know if this coaching staff is going to be any good or not. Other people might say already they have formed their opinion, and I don't know how you can without seeing any bit of a sample size here. I've critiqued the Bruins and many times, and even the Celtics. Not so much this year, but last year. But when you have a team like the Celtics this year, and like those two that we had on earlier, program, and I heard some of the stuff that they were saying all season long, and they just couldn't put last year behind them. Like the same crap was going to happen again with Miami. They had no faith in Missoula. They had no faith in Porzingis. It was just let's wait and see when they not if they collapse, when they collapse. I can't do shows like that. I'd like to deal in realistic stuff, what's going on, and tend to believe that one season does not carry over into the next. It just doesn't work that way. But anyway, when we come back, Angel, we're going to get into
half hour.
The what?
That was fast. I didn't even realize that was another half hour.
Yeah. Well, we took a late break, and I think I took a break at 7:35. I want to get back on time here. Coming up later today, John Meter-Perrell at 9:05. And I'm sure he's going to have some thoughts on this as well. And we'll get a Boston College and ACC football report. I'm sure he's getting psyched. We are just 16 days away from week 0 from Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Dublin. I will not be there live, but I'll be watching that. And then at 9:30 a.m., new to the program, but not new to me. He's been on several shows when I was up in New England. Steve Buchanan, you're going to love him. He's DraftKings, MLB, and NFL analyst. We'll talk some fantasy football stuff. This guy is awesome. He is one of the best in the business. I know a lot of you are getting together for your geeky leagues. And I do DraftKings and FanDuel on day of. I cannot keep track anymore fantasy football stuff as far as having a team, paying $100 and having to monitor waiver wires, all this stuff. I don't. There's too many injury reports. I like waiting until Countdown comes on or one of those shows that's on with Field Yates on Sunday morning around 10 o'clock. I get my injury reports, and then I go to DraftKings or FanDuel, both of them, and fill out what I need to fill out. Much easier and less aggravating. And you can put a team in for 25 cents if you want, and you can win $100,000 if you got to have a little bit of luck in these things, but can happen. All right, 727-858-6650. It is the Pete Shepard Show. Hour number 2 is up next here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Andersen windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Andersen windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Special Olympic edition, number 2. Well, I wasn't going to do anything about transportation, but this is something you couldn't pass up. Gridlock getting to Olympics. G7, an Uber Lyft type company, solves that problem. They've been in existence for 50 years or more. Europe's largest transportation taxi company, employing 15,000 people. But get this, they have a deal with the city of Paris where they can use the streets that Olympic officials and police and fire and other important people can use to get to venues. I am going now to the North Paris Arena for boxing. We'll talk about that later. And an hour and 10-minute trip by normal transportation, not the subway, it doesn't go that far out, will take about 30 minutes. So my driver says, yeah, he says 30 minutes. We'll have to see. We're halfway through it. The bottom line is, when 1896, when the Olympics started again, this company was there driving deals. No, not then, but certainly now. It's a new slant on transportation, another convenient aspect of these games. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Sports News Minute, Special Olympic Edition.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all.
Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Anyway, I will tell you what you need to have for breakfast. I will tell you jack shit. That's fun. Hey, welcome back to the Pete Shepherd Show. It's hour number 2 of the Coastal Sports Network. Coming up later on this hour in a few minutes, I have the Red Sox report, sponsored by Moynihan Lumber. My boys lost last night 8-4 at Kansas City, but they still took the series 2-1 in Missouri. And we'll have some sound for you from that game as well as the rest Major League rundown. How about your guy Schwarber last night? 3 home runs for the Phillies. Second time this year, I believe he's done that. But we'll get to those highlights as well. Phillies have been handling the Dodgers pretty good lately.
You sure have.
It's revenge from what happened last week when the Dodgers were handling them pretty easily. Thanks again, everybody, for listening across the Coastal Sports Network video platform. So Red Sox report coming up at 8:15. At 9:05 this morning, John Meter-Perrell will talk some ACC football, BC football with him. Steve Buchanan at 9:30 from DraftKings. MLB and NFL analysts. We'll talk some fantasy football because the leagues just around this time, where like the next 2 or 3 weeks is where everybody puts their fantasies together, and a lot of sports bars, they can fund their family for the rest of the year. The next 3 weeks. Are you a big fantasy football guy, Angel?
I am. And I did. There's a guy too. I have to get on. I have to make sure I make contact with him. He wrote a book about fantasy football. But I also want to put together too. And I've got to do it amongst all the other stuff that have to get done. But there's a kind of like somewhat of a fantasy league that I'm hoping to put together. If not, I'm going to do the best of. And I know that Gas Pump Guy and I think Jerry from Rhode Island, a couple other folks said that if I set it up, they would end up joining in. So amongst the other stuff, and I got to get it done quickly because the season around the corner. But no, I do I used to get into it a whole lot for sure before. But I do enjoy it. Gas Pump Guy's got a great line already this morning.
Yeah. Good morning, fellas. Such a late check-in. Well, you don't have to worry. You're not clocking it on this show. You're clocking anytime, Gas Pump Guy. Fellas, sorry for a late check-in, but I was at a meeting this morning already. Some bullshit every day. LOL. Yeah. Yep. That's what life is, surviving the bullshit. Right?
It is. And yes, you guys can text into the show 727-858-6650, just like Gas Pump Guy does every morning, and Jerry from Rhode Island and a bunch of other folks that usually on the normals end up sending stuff in. Oh, and speaking of the new normal and other stuff, other than also welcoming our newest group of listeners, and Germany, forgive me.
Hey!
If I butcher this, but it's Grenzak, Wheeling, Germany, if I remember correctly. Osaka, Japan, Amsterdam, Rabat, Morocco, and the Republic of China, along with the UK. So thank you guys for tuning in.
China, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Japan, hello. Morocco, hello. So I mean, we're like worldwide, right? In every single, what countries are we not in? Guam. I want to hear from Guam, a little beautiful island outside of the Philippines.
Yep. We're getting close to it, that's for sure. But no, and I know for in Turkey, Pakistan, a lot of the our U.S. troops are downloading the shows, which is nice because they obviously want to hear stuff when they're overseas and on tour. Not the tour as a band, but obviously when you have the tour for the U.S. while you go out there for deployment. But no, it's good. And thanks to everyone who's tuned in for sure. Brazil, Chile, another group of folks, and the native land of Puerto Rico. We thank you guys, even though a lot of folks out there, obviously you have a lot of American-speaking folks out there, and my own folks as well. But thanks to everybody who tunes in, downloads the audio, and especially the app. We really do appreciate it.
Yes, especially you should get like a gold star from Angel if you follow the instructions properly and download the app. It is very simple, but it has to be simple. And again, it'll be in the app store. It'll be in the app store soon. It takes a couple of months for that stuff to happen. Right now, the video platform, can't say enough about it. We're killing it. I saw the numbers yesterday just on Twitter alone were fantastic, and the Facebook numbers, you add them on top of that, and Rumble and Twitch, YouTube. So it is things are really, really happening here. Some really good stuff, and Angel Martinez is the big, gigantic straw that stirs the Coastal Sports Network cocktail, if you will. Angel, speaking of stirring, can we go to the first story on ESPN before we get to the pros? NFL, I want this college football news. NCAA handing Jim Harbaugh a 4-year loss for violations. I want to hear what I'm going to have to play not play the commercial, but here what Finey said. He calls him out. He has a nice, interesting analogy. But while Angel's getting that ready, the NCAA announced a 4-year show cause order and former Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh yesterday for impermissible contact with recruits and players. While access was restricted during the COVID-19 pandemic, effectively banning him from college athletics until August of 2028. That's what we call the old slap on the wrist.
Yep.
Told you what was exactly we told you what would happen. But Finey, who never takes shots at the Big Ten or Harbaugh, incredibly had this to say yesterday.
Almost there.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Daggone it.
Okay. The NCAA, by the way, said Harbaugh, who's now the Chargers head coach, engaged in unethical conduct, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance, and violated head coach responsibility obligations. Big deal. Here's what Feinbaum had to say.
Yeah, before we get into that, because Gaston guy says, "Hey guys, stupid question. What is Rumble? I hear you guys say it all the time. Is that like Twitter or Snapchat or something? Man, I must be old. I don't know what that is. LOL. Rumble is just another media platform, social media platform, just like YouTube, Facebook, and every place. So Rumble has a lot of folks. Pardon me. Now, there's actually a lot of folks who wanted to keep the integrity of being a news journalist, news reporter. A lot of them have gone to Rumble because they can say what they want, honestly, without anybody taking them off any other platform and giving them misinformation. So Rumble is really good on that behalf. There's a lot of gamers on Rumble as well. So if you guys love games, there's a lot of excellent folks who play games. And I mean, from everything under the sun, you guys can get a lot of cheat codes, learn stuff. So Rumble's a really good platform.
I love cheat codes.
They're the best.
Game and those adventure games back in the day. I mean, you only get so far, and you get so frustrated. You'd spend hours and going, "Oh my God," whatever game it is. Anyway, we'll get into that in a second. Here's Finey on Jim Harbaugh.
100% Jim, and that is Paul. It is 100% Paul. So when I watched that video yesterday, I'm not going to influence the jury with my own opinion. I'll go last. Paul, what was your first reaction when you saw it?
I mean, it's an Oscar-winning performance, Craney. I mean, I had a lot of different emotions. I mean, I wanted to throw all kinds of adjectives up on the board. I wanted to label him as a pathological liar, as someone who is delusional. But I can't do it anymore because, I think he, in many ways, is the Jack Nicholson of coaching. I mean, he's a man for all seasons. He has so many different lanes, and you really just can't get mad at the guy. I mean, he ran, you can't say he ran a program into the ground because they won the national championship. Yeah, he left a stench behind, but as we have said, it will get cleaned up with very little penalty. He's making a fortune with the Chargers, and I'm going to bow at the feet of Jim Harbaugh for pulling off this scam and then acting like he didn't do anything wrong.
That was extremely well put in every possible way. Neek, what was your reaction watching it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a predisposition to not believe college football coaches especially. That was a great performance, but the bottom line is none of it matters at this point. No. The NCAA can't do anything to him. He could come out and say, yeah, I did it. I'm getting a bunch of money now from the Chargers. I got a championship you can't do nothing about, and it's fine. I gamed the system.
100.
No, he's right. And people are like, oh, can't they take wins away? Can't they take championships away? No, they can't. They can't. They won't.
Nope, they won't.
So, and the show cause penalty means, again, it's this. It will slap my wrist. Touch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Touch it. Touch it. Touch my wrist.
It is.
Touch it.
It is. It's a huge slap. There's no other sanctions or nothing else. I mean, and they already knew the Harbaugh was going to leave.
Here's what it means. A show cause penalty means a school wanting to hire a coach serving that penalty must appear before the NCAA Committee on Infractions to explain why it wants to do so. The NCAA's order for Harbaugh started yesterday and will run through August 6th of 2028. It requires a school wanting to hire Harbaugh to suspend him for the first full season. After that, Harbaugh would still be barred from athletics-related activities, including team travel, practice, video study, recruiting, and team meetings until the order expires. Blah, 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 blah. Now, Harbaugh, Jim has not addressed this. He will today. Probably, I'm assuming, in about 45 minutes to an hour. Actually, no, it's out in the Chargers, so it might be later than that. Might be around noontime. We'll hear from Jim Harbaugh later today. We'll hear from him tomorrow as well on this program, I'm sure. But that's it. So all that means is if the shit hit the fan with the Chargers and he wanted to come back into the NFL, as long as it's after 2028, it's, as I say, sherry and giggles. It's all good. I'm a big sherry person, by the way, not like Dr. Fraser Crane and Dr. Niles Crane. But just wait till 2029 and all's good. Obviously, I mean, it would be a disaster if he gets fired in the Chargers, the LA Chargers, before 2028. I suppose anything's possible in this day and age, but I would think that would not be the case. And even if it was the case, all it means is he can't coach in college football that first season, and no one's going. I mean, so what? He waits till 2029 if indeed he does want to come back to the college game.
Yep,
it means nothing. There's nothing they can do. The NCAA is powerless. They can use all fancy alliteration, lots of it, to try and make their point. But Charlie Baker has no autonomy in this situation at all. And it doesn't matter if it's Charlie Baker. It doesn't matter who's there. The NCAA is considered an effing joke. It's a joke. And it's just a matter of time before the Power Fives all secede from the NCAA and go form their own conference or their own league, their own organization, as we say in hockey. And that'll be it. Angel, you know what? We'll get to the NFL in a second. If I may have you, a total sports prep, and I'm going to read the spot in a second, but head on down to the baseball stuff. Let's do an MLB rundown. We'll start with the Red Sox report today, which is, as always, brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. All right, last night, not a great night for the Red Sox, but nevertheless, tough to sweep a series against a good team, particularly on the road. They lost last night 8-4. In that game, early on, well, actually, Bobby Witt Jr. hit a home run early on in that game. But let's head to cut number 3, Angel. Bobby Witt Jr.'s 3-hit, 2-homer game in the 8-4 win versus the Red Sox. This is from Bally Sports, Kansas City.
Notable. Oh, did he get it? Hooking into the corner. Gone. Number 21. And 2 batters into the bottom of the first inning, and the Royals have scored more runs against Crawford tonight than they did in 7 innings last month.
Better believe it. That's what we're talking about, putting some pressure on him. That's a breaking ball that just stayed on the outer half, but it was elevated enough for Junior to get the end of the battlement.
Lined up the right field line. That is a fair ball on an 0-2 pitch. Garcia scores. Massey scores. Junior is driven in 3, and the Royals have regained the lead.
What a skillful at-bat. You can't sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry Junior.
Bobby slams it to center. The wind is blowing in. Rafaela is back. Gone! Home run number 2 tonight.
Baby, 96 middle, he hit it.
Yeah, thanks again to Bally Sports. What a night for Bobby Witt Jr. 3 for 4, Angel, 4 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. Of course, we all remember his dad back, and Dad was a pretty good pitcher back in the day, mostly for the Texas Rangers. And it's just when you start to feel old. It was bad enough when Ken Griffey Jr. was playing with his dad at the end, well, even if it was for just a couple of games. But man, it is crazy to because I still feel like 15, 16 years old. I know Peanut Gallery is about to chime in mentally, yes. But it's just you see players' sons and they're so good. Sometimes they're even better than the dads. But anyway, Bobby Witt Jr. had a couple of home runs, a double and 4 RBI. Royals beat the Red Sox 8-4 last night. With the victory, the Royals moved a game and a half ahead of the Red Sox in the race for that wild card in the American League. And in the Central, Kansas City moved within a half game of second place Minnesota, which lost to the Cubbies. The Royals are 4 games back of Cleveland, which was swept in the doubleheader. Meanwhile, Cole Reagans is 9-7 now, allowed 4 runs, 1 earned on 6 hits and 6 in the third. Struck out 7 and walking 2. Carter Crawford for the Red Sox now 7-9, took the loss, worked only 3 2/3 innings, allowed 6 runs on 5 hits, had 3 strikeouts and 4 walks as well. Red Sox moved ahead in the third inning. Romy Gonzalez had a 2-out, 3-run shot into the left bullpen. All 3 runs were unearned as Rafaela reached base with no outs on an error on Massey. And then Danny Jansen lined a home run, his 7th of the season, into the bullpen, leading off the 4th. So other news, the Red Sox, Chris Martin was reinstated from the 15-day injured list where he had been since July 5th, retroactive to July 4th, with the right elbow inflammation. In a corresponding move, left-handed pitcher Cam Boozer was optioned to AAA Worcester. Outfielder Tyler O'Neill placed on the 10-day IL with a left leg infection. And outfielder Emmanuel Valdez was recalled from Worcester to take his spot. Next up for the Red Sox, they opened up a 3-game series against the Houston Astros on Friday. No starting pitchers have been named yet. Final score, again, Kansas City last night beat the Red Sox 8-4. That is the Red Sox Report, brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations, Beverly, North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. Continuing with baseball, Angel. I'm not going to play highlights of every game, but let's see. The Cubs beat Minnesota, as we said, 8-2. Could the White Sox make it 2 in a row? No. They lose yesterday afternoon to the Oakland A's by a score of 3-2. Andrew Benintendi actually put the White Sox up early in this one, 2-0 in the second, but they blew that one. St. Louis over Tampa Bay by a score of 5-2. Doubleheader, Arizona beat Cleveland 7-3 in game 1, and then they finished the sweep. Can't say the Tribe anymore, has to be the Guardians. Arizona won 5-3 in game 2. Miami over Cincinnati 6-4 in that one. If we could play cut number, you know what? We don't need to play that. They lost. I don't care about Fraggle's Grand Slam. Nobody cares. San Francisco beat Washington by a score of 7-4 there. Houston over Texas 6-4. The Philadelphia Phillies last night. Let's start with the cut number. Let's start with cut number 2, Angel. It's the Kyle Schwarber show. Philadelphia obliterates the Dodgers yesterday, 9-4. It's all Kyle Schwarber. It's cut number 2. Let's start with that.
Anybody else? That one's out to left. That's pretty well hit. Hernandez is going back on the run out to the scoreboard, and it is gone! Opposite field leadoff home run for Kyle Schwarber. And right out of the gate, the Phillies take a 1-0 lead. 11th leadoff home run of the year for Schwarber.
Home run number 1. Let's go to cut number 1. Here's home run number 2.
Yeah, the 1-2. Swing and a hot shot out toward right center field. That's got a chance. It is gone! Into the pavilion seats. 3-run home run for Schwarber. It's his second home run of the game. He has 6 RBIs. It would get better. Here comes home run number 3 in the top of the 9th. Out to center field. That one's well hit. Going back is Pages. It is gone! It's a 3-home run game. He's hit one to left. He's hit one to right. And now he hits one to center field. He has exploded tonight. It's a 9-4 ball game.
Kyle Schwarber went 4 for 4, 7 RBIs and 3 runs. 7 out of the 9 Phillies RBIs were by Schwarber last night. Outstanding. The Dodgers lost 2 of 3 in the matchup between the National League's top 2 teams. Schwarber's 3-run homer capped a 5-run 6, during which the National League East leading Phillies tied and then took the lead there. So really good stuff for the Phillies. I think he's one of a few players that said this. I believe this is his second 3-run home game this season.
Yep.
I believe. So that's right up there. San Diego over Pittsburgh in a thriller in 10 innings by a score of 9-8. Let's see. Doubleheader between the Yankees and the Angels was split. The Yankees won game 1, 5-2. Angels came back and won the nightcap 8-2. Bad weather coming up in the Northeast, by the way. Yesterday, you saw it in New York, and it's going to hit New England and parts of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area as well. Now it's back to Tropical Storm Debbie, I believe. We've gone from Tropical Storm Debbie to Hurricane Debbie, back to Tropical Storm Debbie. Baltimore beat Toronto by a score of 7-3. Milwaukee over Atlanta 8-5. The Mets got by Colorado 5-3. I'm going to stick with that Atlanta game in a second because something funny happened in that game. Mets over Colorado 5-3. Detroit beat Seattle 6-2. So I'm proud to say I hit a little parlay last night, and by little I mean $10 wins you back 32. I had Kansas City last night, so see how you don't go with your heart, you go with your head. And I thought they'd win, even though they were about $1 minus 140. But I parlayed that with a very low total. which in Detroit-Seattle yesterday was the over-under, Angel, was 5.5 runs. 5.5, at least on a Hard Rock app here in Florida. 5.5. I thought it was, in this day and age of baseball, just way too low, despite the pitching matchup. And a lot of people say, well, you see a number that low, it's like a total in the NFL. If it's really, really low, go with the under. I don't necessarily buy into that. I didn't. It was, I think, 2-2 in the 7th. And then it was, because I was watching the game while I was dozing off and going to sleep. And then Detroit, scored a bunch of runs late. And they went 6-2. But a very, very low total. 5.5 in that game. All right. Meanwhile, if we could, Angel, to my Twitter page and scroll down to awful announcing. So I told you about the Milwaukee beating Atlanta 8-5. But in the broadcast booth last night, John Smoltz, who you would think, he told a very funny story. Now, mind you, his picture's on the stadium, his number's on the stadium. But here's John Smoltz pulling into the parking lot at the game well before, as he's going to call the game on the Braves, for the Braves.
So I came in, I parked. They told us where to park. Park where the cone is. Well, there was an open spot. I parked where it was.
Can you see it?
I cannot see it, no.
All right, give it a second. It'll pop up on your side, I'm quite sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I rewound it back.
Yep. Yeah, I still can't see it.
You should be able to see it.
I don't.
All right, let me flip back to my screen with you, and then I'll flip back to...
Usually that works. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Usually that works almost every time. There you go. Okay, here's what happened to John Smoltz, Hall of Fame pitcher.
So I came in, I parked. They told us where to park. Park where the cone is. Well, there was an open spot. I parked where it was open, and I was on the phone talking. Imagine that. And I was waiting for Frenzy, I was waiting for him to come so we could walk in together. And one of the valet guys came to the window. I rolled it down. I said, can I park here? Or do you want me to move the cone? And he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm calling the game. He goes, are you an umpire? I'm like, I thought, all right, right away I looked for cameras because I know, you're getting punked. I guarantee it, this is what's happening. And then I realized he straight-faced me and has no idea who I am. And I said, no, I'm... How old was he? Well, this is what I said next. I said, I'm broadcasting the game. And he looked at me like, well, I said, you must be very young.
My picture's on the side of the stadium. My number's retired in the rafters.
My
favorite part you tell that story is when you're like, I'm sure he's a nice kid.
I'm sure he's a nice kid. But
Don't you know who I am? No, seriously. I mean, John Smoltz, legendary. This is what, I don't know. At Truist Park, where the Braves play, his face is on the stadium. His number is retired. His face is on the stadium. You young whippersnappers with your Rubik's Cube and your Etch-a-Sketches, you have no idea what you're doing.
Unbelievable.
Don't you? That actually is a case where it would be logical, and it would be not narcissistic to say, don't you know who I am, son? But God, that's me. I'm right there. That's me. Anywho, all right. When we get back, we'll get into the NFL. I promise. We'll hear from a lot of camps and everything else, and then at the top of the hour at 9:05, John Meter Perel will talk BC and ACC football. Bottom of next hour at 9:30, in an hour, we're going to talk to Steve Buchanan. You're going to love this guy. We're going to try to have him on regularly from DraftKings. He's a big-time DraftKings analyst, MLB, NFL, and I can remember when he started off doing fantasy football way back, like 8-9 years ago, and he used to come on my shows in Boston and at ESPN New Hampshire, and really, really fun guy, knows his stuff, has some great tips for you, and not only in football, but in MLB as well. It's all part of the Pete Shepherd Show as we continue on a Thursday right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment?
You got it. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Back here, it is Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across our awesome video platform. You can follow me at PShep326 on Twitter, X, on Facebook, on SR1029 The Game, and also download the app, SR1029thegame.com, powered by Powerful Jedi, ION TV is. CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. You can call or text the show as well, 727-858-6650. Just quickly getting back just for a second to the stuff we played early today from Felger and Maz up in Boston on 98.5, the Sports Hub, and the Mike Reese situation. But big kudos to Jimmy Stewart, a.k.a. James Stewart. Used to be an intern at WEI way back in the day, and then was an intern on Dale Arnold's show with Bob Newmeyer back in the day, and just a great kid. Was a great at the time, great kid. Now he's a young man, but one of the best producers in sports radio, in terrestrial sports radio by far. Jimmy Stewart has done an amazing job, and if you don't think he deserves part of the reason why that show does 21 plus shares most of the time the last few years, he is a big part of it. A lot of times in radio, Angel, the talent gets a lot of the credit, but it's behind the scenes people that do all the that set up all the interviews and make sure the timing of everything is spot on. And that's why they've been nominated for and won Marconi Awards over the last decade. And he's a big part of it. So Jimmy Stewart, you're the man, baby. And good for him to put up there. And he's the one, when I saw it this morning, because I didn't hear it live yesterday, Jimmy Stewart on Twitter, he says, watch as Mike Reese puts Michael Felger and Tony Maserati in a body bag. That's your producer saying that. See, that's the difference between tough Northeast people and some of the rest. You're not going to get that in Milwaukee. You're not going to get that in Iowa.
No.
Your producer on a sports radio station, say somebody in, Timbuktu, Iowa, ripping the Hawkeyes or the Cyclones out there. You're not going to get your associate, your executive producer to say that stuff. So kudos to Jimmy for that. Meanwhile, all right, let's get to some NFL stuff here. Before that, Angel, on my Twitter account, if we can, Miss Mia O'Brien, my favorite Irish Sicilian of all time, does a nice report on 1010XL 92.5, and this is the latest what happened at Jaguars camp yesterday. If we could play that video, Angel, that would be great. She's looking lovely in her blue today, her blues, her 1010XL blues. All right, here's Mia.
For the first time since Saturday's stadium practice, we had fans back at the Miller Electric Center, and Brian Thomas Jr. put on a show for them here today. We saw another deep ball from Trevor Lawrence connecting with the Jaguars' first-round rookie wide receiver. Ronald Darby was in coverage on that play. Tremendous hand-eye coordination by BTJ to haul in that pass. Another attempt between Trevor and Brian Thomas Jr. was broken up in the end zone during team periods by Antonio Johnson. But for everybody who's been waiting for that deep ball, we saw it on full display here today. Some other notes from training camp. I mentioned Antonio Johnson with that pass breakup. Buster Brown and Trey Flowers also with pass breakups during team period today. And an injury update. Let's run through these. Ventrell Miller with the hand injury was a full participant today despite wearing the non-contact penny. The most interesting note, Cam Robinson and Cooper Hodges both were expected to only participate in individual drills. According to the team, because they passed a certain threshold, they were also allowed to participate in team periods today. A huge development looking towards Saturday's preseason game against the Chiefs, especially with Anton Harrison still in the concussion protocol. That's it from the Miller Electric Center. We'll see you back out here tomorrow.
Mia. All right, Mia O'Brien doing her thing at 1010XL. She also hosts Helmets and Heels, a very highly rated show up in Jacksonville. Always the best. If we could scroll down a couple more, Angel. Our good friend Mike Petraglia, who we'll have on next week, covers the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Ted Karras, this is a funny one. Mike asked a question. Ted Karras, of course. Now, remember a couple of years ago how when Joey Burrow was just getting, was a mash unit every week, just getting annihilated. It was 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was. And then the Bengals really, really beefed up their offensive line. Ted Karras is one of those guys who came over from the Patriots to Cincinnati. But an intense day of practice yesterday. Mike asked a question, and Ted Karras gives his response.
Okay.
I can't see it. I can't see it, Angel. Yeah. Ted Karras, a big man. Looks like he came out of Lumberjack U. Okay, now I can. Here we go.
Okay. Clean as a whistle. full squad today. Who wants to go first?
What happened out there, and how do you explain the intensity?
Well, I think that we've had a lot of good back and forth. Intense training camp going on 3 weeks now together. And we're tackling our guys in thuds, so it's not allowed.
What did you have? How did you and Logan get into it? What happened there?
Well, it was a play on the sideline, probably overly finished. He didn't like that, and I didn't care. So it was an intense practice. You know, I don't think anyone was doing anything out of proportion. No one got hurt, which is always the most important thing when you're fighting in training camp, because that would really be a stupid way to set us back this year. So I think guys handled themselves in an intense practice, and I think offense won.
Jermaine and Vaughn obviously made a play on Dre late in practice on that last drive, knocking the ball free. Did you have an issue with that as well?
I certainly did, but I mean, again, that's just a tough, intense practice. I'm very thankful that Andre's okay, but I'll let Zach speak to more on that. But yeah, I had a problem with it.
How important is it to have an intense practice like this before you guys go out there on Saturday?
I think it speaks to we're probably sick of each other. It's time to play someone else, which is perfect timing. The Bucs are coming to town Saturday night. It's going to be awesome. Paycor's going to be rocking. It's going to be a really cool environment. It's really fun that football season is back, and we get a taste an NFL game here this weekend.
How big of a practice was this for the offense coming in? I'm sure you guys knew what you were going to do and the plan to carry it out and win the game.
I think it's been such great work. We have so many great players on both sides of the ball. I thought, offensive practice builds confidence and fundamentals and confidence, and I think we're just keep building that. Those were nice long drives that ended with scoring opportunities. So we need to keep building that. If you can do it in practice, you can do it in a game. So hopefully when we get out there for the first time, we go right down the field and execute at a high level.
One thing that's been spoken about this locker room over the last few years is how together you guys are, camaraderie. After a practice like today, what's the next step to make sure that stays the same way?
I don't think anyone's bringing it inside. We'll be intense till field goal meeting here at 5:30, but really that is what it is. It's 3 weeks into training camp. Some people took exception to a couple of things today, and I thought it was good work. And again, I've harped on this in this interview. Nobody got any dings in something stupid, which we can't afford at all. So I think that overall was a net positive for the Bengals today.
How much did you like watching T. Higgins today do what he does?
He's a lot of fun. I love hitting a 30-yard jog as an O-lineman when you hit a big play. It's a good feeling. That brings a little wind in your sails as you're just kind of doing the O-line jog to set the huddle 30 yards advanced.
I think 2 TDs ever moved the ball, so you would have had another one. You're in the end zone.
Nuno's not even out there. But we got a lot of guys are stepping up. It was high execution today. We're going to have to put one together tomorrow and ultimately go out on Saturday. A lot of guys are going to show what they've done. There's been such amazing hard work amongst this team, and I'm really excited to show what we got.
All right, there is a Ted Karras, offensive lineman for the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, the stuff that he's talking about, Angel knows this. Anybody who follows NFL football, this has been going on since the beginning of the NFL. You get to training camp, there's always going to be little scuffles and skirmishes. Sometimes they break out. Now, he said nobody did anything stupid. I'll tell you who did do something stupid yesterday, and it happened in the Seahawks camp. At least 5 fights broke out at Seattle's practice yesterday, including one, and here's the stupid part, in which star wide receiver DK Metcalf swings a helmet at cornerback Trey Brown. What are you thinking?
Yep.
What if you made contact? I mean, what are you guys doing? We're going to hear from. We're going to get to some NFL sound right now. As a matter of fact, Angel, and if we can scroll down, Seattle's Mike McDonald on the feisty practice and DK Metcalf swing his helmet. It is the last cut on the page. If we could start with that one, if you don't mind.
Let me go back up. I know Rick had a comment. I'll read it after. Last one. There we go.
Yeah, we've been getting after it. It's, I'm proud of how we responded today. We came out, we were ready to practice. I don't know what the numbers are, but, we've been out here I don't know, 14 of us, 16 days. I think we're tired of going against one another, but the guys are spirited. We had a great practice, and we're excited for Saturday.
I mean, it was feisty out here. There were a few. We got our face toward the camera. We kept going like, "What's going on now?" I mean, DK played a little whack-a-mole at one point there. Where's the line for you in terms of you want the intensity, you want the competition, you probably don't want people using their helmet as a weapon.
Yeah, we're right on the line right now, and I think the guys realize that. Like, hey, let's take care of one another. We definitely don't want people fighting out here and stuff, and especially against our own team. And then DK gave a great message at the end of the practice, just kind of putting everything in perspective. The guys finished it out the right way, so proud of our guys.
I mean, I get all that, but that's something I see. You see a star player swinging his helmet at cornerback Trey Brown. I'm sorry, I'm stopping practice, and either you start running or you can't have that. You can't swing a helmet at anybody, let alone your own teammate. And Mike Macdonald's just kind of laughing it off, and maybe behind the scenes he takes it a little bit more seriously. We'll get to Rick's question in a second, Angel. I want to play right above that, 2 cuts above Mike Macdonald, Jalen Hurts on Sirius XM NFL Radio, talking about the culture they have built in Philadelphia.
How important has that culture been? Because it doesn't happen overnight. Right. When you got your big dogs doing it, everyone else is going to follow. Yeah. But how important to that is that to like the Eagles' way?
Well, I think something like that changes over time, and I know you've done it here, and you got a championship here, and it evolves throughout seasons. But I think what you want guys that come in with that mentality that's already ingrained in them to finish, to give great effort, to do it because this is what they love to do and this is how they want to represent themselves. And then next step is now I got to pull somebody along with me. So hey, we ain't walking around like here. We're not gonna have that type of energy. We're gonna be intense in what we're trying to do. We're gonna move around with good urgency. And when you're finishing, I've been saying that the last couple of days is about your effort, and effort is free. That's something that you can control. And so what type of effort are we giving? Are we going out there and earning it every day? Are we going to come into this feeling like we're entitled to something? Or are we going out there and truly earning it? And so I think that's something the guys on this team have, and guys that afford the opportunity to lead the way definitely set a great example with that.
All right, there it is, quarterback Jalen Hurts. It leads me into Rick's comment on the text line. Why is Jalen Hurts throwing consecutive passes without an interception a big deal with the media? It's training camp. To me, it means nothing because there's no real competition. Oh, Rick, you answered your own question. This happens all the time. People overrate what happens. It happens at every organization. If you really scroll around, Rick, to all the teams, and you will see reports because it's a positive thing. You see the stuff. See, that stuff doesn't bother you, Rick. You may think it's overrated. However, and tell me if I'm wrong, Rick, if Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions yesterday, you'd be upset. I know Angel would be upset. So, yeah, I mean, you've got to take the good with the bad. If a player on any organization in training camp is going to, throw a bunch of touchdown passes and look good, you report it. If he throws 4 interceptions, you're going to report it also. The problem in our society is we're going to take the bad first over the good. That's the way sports media works. The bad is always going to be nobody wants to sit there and praise a lot of these quarterbacks because on 7-on-7 drills or whatever, they or even in joint practices, they look good. But as soon as they look bad, then all hell breaks loose. Rick says, I would not be upset because it's training camp. No, but you would probably be. No, but you would probably. Come on, you would look at it a little different. I mean, for me, if I heard Drake May threw 4 interceptions in one practice, I'd be like, oh God, and then he'd have to see how they were. Were they deflections? Did a guy run the wrong route? I mean, you have to take all that into consideration. But that would bother me if one of my guys had 4 interceptions. If he threw 4 touchdowns in a practice, I'd feel it's like, oh, that's good. Well, throwing 4 touchdowns in practice better than 4 picks. But let's not kid ourselves. We'd be upset. Angel, let me ask you, as an Eagle fan, Gaspon guys, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the second string and even some of the third string on the Bucs. Yeah, possibly Gaspon guy again. Tampa Bay is at Cincinnati, and that is, I think, tomorrow night. It's either tomorrow or Saturday. But let me ask you, Angel, when you see stuff in practice, Jalen Hurts through, what would spark an emotion out of you? 3 touchdown passes in practice or 3 interceptions in practice?
Senor Peter would not be upset. I would be so calm because I would be thinking about the sperms.
Go for the Lightning! In Tampa.
Yeah, I'll do the sperm whale thing when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. No, you would be upset because no matter it's preseason, so we want to see the good and the bad, no matter what. But yeah, I would be. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be upset because I want to know. Did he do a Donovan McNabb and throw ankle throws? Was it overthrown? Was it underthrown? You want to know, like all these. That's why you have the preseason matchups, because you want to see exactly what happens and the adjustments they have to make, regardless of whatever he said on the sounder there. That's neither here nor there for me. I don't care what kind of culture he built in Philly. Everybody knows how Philly is. What have you done for me lately? But I would be upset because I want to know, like you said, was it something, was it a miscalculated throw? We saw a bunch of them last season from a lot of teams, not just from the Eagles. So yeah, I would be upset.
Did it go through the receiver's hands? Was it a deflection, a bouncy thing, all that stuff? Rick said, sorry for the typos. I don't get mad in preseason. I'm not saying get mad. I'm saying be honest. That I think fans following whatever team they're following in the NFL, and their quarterback throws 4 picks as opposed to 4 touchdown passes in the practice. I think the 4 picks get raised eyebrows, and then people want to say, well, whoa, exactly as we said, what happened? Was it deflection? Was it this? Was it that? Spalding says, how's everybody doing this morning? Good stuff. Do you guys get excited with the preseason winner? No, I don't get excited about any preseason win or loss. I look at fundamentals. Tonight, I will be watching and rewatching. I guarantee after the game, the Panthers and Patriots play tonight, 7:00 on NFL Network, and also the Lions and the Giants play at 7:00 tonight as well. Those are the only 2 games going on tonight. So I just look at the fundamentals, Rick. I just want to see. I want to see how Jacoby Brissett looks. Obviously, I'm more interested in Drake May and watching how he looks. Guys jumping offside, guys false starting, that kind of thing, getting used to everybody's cadence. I mean, that's what preseason is all about. So I don't get caught up in the scores because it's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a lot of vanilla defenses, a lot of vanilla offenses out there. So I just like to see good fundamental football. Who's blocking, who's not blocking, who's getting beat, who's getting sacked, what linemen are getting beat if they're getting sacked, and who's not picking up blitzes, stuff like that. Rick says, I bet Tim gets excited if the Cowboys win a preseason game. Well, you can't blame it. Look, I'd like them to win, but I don't care. Like I said, I would bet the under in every single preseason game. Yeah. All right, let's continue. Let's go to Mike Tomlin right there, staying at the bottom of the page there. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, says there is competition at QB, but says that Russell Wilson is the guy right now.
Would you still categorize this as a quarterback competition? If it is, how do you weight what happens on the practice field here versus what happens in a stadium?
Very much is a competition. What happens in stadium is weighted heavier than what happens in a practice setting because it's more game-like.
Do you still view Russell as having that pole position and being ahead of Justin in that?
You guys saw the depth chart that I released yesterday. That is real.
No, it's fake news.
Exactly.
But again, and people get carried away with depth charts as well. Now, I think Russell Wilson is going to be the starter come September 8th. I believe that. But you have to put something out there. You have to put depth charts out there. It's like mandated. You have to do it. So people get so caught up in it, in preseason game number 1. What I do think is interesting, Angel, and I was watching the beginning part of Hall of Feinbaum show yesterday at SEC Network. They are discussing in the SEC about putting out a depth chart or putting out an injury report. An injury report, which has never been done before, to my knowledge, in college football. So the SEC is actually talking about, and I think it's a good idea, instead of waiting to the very last second, because, man, does it happen a lot in college football. You put a few shekels on a team, and then right before kickoff, this person or that person isn't playing, especially if it's a quarterback, you go, oh, my God. So I think look, in this day and age, with all the money that is being invested in bet and nil money and all that stuff, damn it, yeah, I want to see an injury report for everybody.
You're right.
I don't care what league it is.
Yeah, before we get to Dylan's comment here, and Dylan, we'll see about the trip up to Jacksonville to see a KC game. But no, you brought up a good point. I was just about to say that because if you're a betting person, it obviously makes a world of difference if you're putting together an injury list or pup list or whatever they want to call it anymore. But it makes a huge difference. You're putting a couple of shekels down. So that's a good point by you.
It makes it. I mean, look at the NFL. Look how it affects fantasy football
Mm-hmm.
and people. I mean, injury reports are huge. Not that you should ever, as an organization in the NFL, base anything you do on fantasy stats, because that should not matter. I know the players think of it that way, and they get pissed off if they don't get a Madden rating that they believe they deserve. But overall, NFL organizations don't give a damn, and they shouldn't about football, about wide receivers or running backs or quarterbacks running up scores or getting this many completions or that many completions. They don't care. They care about W's. It doesn't matter. But I do think an injury report in college football is long overdue, especially when you have 90 guys at home game, 93 guys. And, I can't tell you how many times over the years you put a few shekels on, oh, my God, right before game time. And usually, if it's a big name, man, you just go, oh, God. How did I not know this? So if the injury report would come out in the SEC or the ACC at the beginning of the week or on Wednesdays, just like it does, or maybe Tuesdays, because most of the games are on Saturday, I would have no problem with that. Speaking of no problem, if we could scroll up just a little bit, Kansas City's kicker Harrison Butker, who just signed a huge deal, huge $6+ million deal. Now, Angel, he insists that he loves women.
Okay. I'm dying to hear this one.
Empowered you to do the contents of your speech? What empowered you to do the contents of your speech, and what empowered you just to kind of back that up at the gala and just be your full self or something?
Right. I've always been encouraged by people that state their opinions and they're very bold in what their beliefs are. I think that brings people closer together. And like I said, in this locker room, we've become very close because guys are extremely open about their beliefs. And I think we are living in a better world if people are open and they're not afraid to share their viewpoints. And I feel like, again, 7 years in the league, having this platform, I've just decided, there's things that I believe wholeheartedly that I think will make this world a better place, and I'm going to preach that. And if people don't agree, they don't agree, but I'm going to continue to say what I believe to be true and love everyone along the way.
We've got a lot of feedback. You mentioned talking to teammates, I'm sure family, and some Catholics didn't agree with what you said. Has anything that you received as far as feedback changed what you said, changed your thoughts on what you said at all?
No, and I've appreciated all the feedback. I know when it comes to football, I don't really look at the comments, good or bad, towards me, but with it being the off season and stating a lot of these things, I was really curious as to what people would be saying back to me, and I respected all the viewpoints. But in terms of what I said, I prayed about it and I thought about it, and I was very intentional with what I said, and I stand behind what I said. And I really believe if people knew me as a person and understood that I was coming from a place of love and not a place of trying to attack or put people down, that I only want the best for people. And
Wait, pause that for a second, because I'm not putting people down. If you're telling women they basically belong in the kitchen,
barefoot and pregnant, baby.
Right. Fuck out of here.
Or you're not a good
mom. Trying to say there, and I think the people that were in that gymnasium all understood what I was saying.
Along those lines, you said not putting people down. Some people obviously interpret that as putting women's value down, particularly in the workforce. What was your response to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think my whole career I've talked about how I'm a husband and I'm a father before it comes to me as a kicker. It's something I've always preached. But then when I use that to talk about women and I say that they should embrace and love being wives and being mothers over their career, I think then it gets construed that I'm trying to put women down, which I'm not at all.
That's not what he said. We can go back. That's not what he said. So he wants to change his own word. Listen, all right, continue.
I love my wife, and it comes from a place of love. My wife had never heard me speak publicly, and she was there for that moment, and she was up in the background in one of the offices up there, and I was getting emotional looking at her crying and understanding that she has sacrificed so much for me. She has completely changed her life around, and she has made sure she is focused on being the ultimate wife and the ultimate mother, and I love her so much for that. And I see how happy and excited she is day to day to wake up and embrace that life. And, you know, she pushes me to be a better husband and a better father and focus on my 3 children and focus on her over maybe trying to be the best kicker I can be out on that field.
Okay, but here's the thing, Monsieur. She's in that position because you and the money that you make, you're a professional football player. So there's so many great single moms out there and single dads out there for that matter that are great fathers and husbands and wives and moms that have to work. And that does not, take away their passion for their children, child, whatever. They just, she got lucky. She married you. She married a professional football player. She can, stay home and yes, vote 100% attention to her children. My mom was a stay-at-home mom too. She wasn't until she had kids, but she was fortunate enough that she didn't have to work. Of course, being a housewife is absolutely work. That is a job, but I appreciated that I came home from school every day or most days. She was there for me and took care of the house and took care of everybody and all that stuff. But she was also one of the smartest women I've ever met in my life. My mom, I mean, she could have, she wanted to, she could have done a whole lot. And my dad was a doctor and a dentist and, she didn't have to go out and get a second job for us, but she could have very easily. She was a dental hygienist. She was intelligent, but he's talking out both sides of his mouth. Anyway, you get the point. Meanwhile, quick break, then meter coming up. For the best articles and audio, only one source that provides everything you need, 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combs through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. The sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. John Meade-Perrell up next, the voice of BC football and ACC basketball and baseball as well. Coming up next here on the Pete Shepard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Andersen windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Andersen windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Pete Shepard Show.
Yes, it is indeed hour number 3 of The Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Hope your Thursday's off to a great start. We are already here at August 8th. 2024, 16 days away from week 0 of college football. The highlight will be at noontime from Dublin, Ireland, to watch Florida State and Georgia Tech go at it. I'll be rooting for the Yellow Jackets. That's just strictly from my Miami Hurricane standpoint. However, we also want to check in with John Meter-Perrell in just a second here, the voice of BC football, and you hear him on the ACC network as well for college basketball and baseball as well. And he'll be joining us in just a second. We need to get him the link. He also has his podcast up with Bill O'Brien, the head coach of the BC Eagles, episode number 7, which you can check out as well. You can follow Meter at Meets Tweets, MEATSTWEETS on Twitter. And he's on Facebook as well. And you can go on my Facebook page and see the link also. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out on Twitter X, on the Coastal Sports Network video platform, at following me at PShep on PShep326 on X Twitter, on Facebook, SR1029thegame.com, ION TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. Call or text the show, 727-858-6650. That is the number to call there. And speak of the devil, there he is, the one and only. We almost had a show together called The Jew and the Gentile. Also was going to name that show with me and Wallach back in the day, but Jason Wolf wouldn't go for it. It's too bad. I thought it was catchy. John Meter-Perrell joining us here on the Pete Shepard Show. What's up, John?
I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that would have been, you kidding me? We would have been viral before viral was even a thing.
Imagine marketing that. We could have like a shirt, a funny shirt in the back, circumcised, not circumcised. You know, it'd be really cool.
Won't be long now, Pete.
I make a joke.
That could be the catchphrase.
Briss or no? How about that? No.
Yes. Hey, do you know a good moil?
Yeah, I can't. That Seinfeld episode is so underrated. You know?
God. The best. We could have had. Think about all the Jewish jellies we could have had sponsor us.
Oh my God. And you heard the Max story back in the day with us, right? When I was hosting that day for Glenn, Max came on the air and told us that he was 10 years old. His parents told him he was going into the hospital for an operation for a tonsillectomy, and it ended up being for a circumcision. It is one of the funniest stories ever. Then we got his mom on the phone, and from Charlotte, it was a riot.
That's fantastic.
We'll play that someday. Anyway, how are you doing? How's everything going up there? Is it raining up there? You're getting remnants now. Tropical storm Debbie that we had, it was a tropical storm down here, then a hurricane when it hit Angel and Tampa, and up through the Panhandle area and Gainesville and Florida State, Tallahassee, and now you guys are getting some of it. I saw the Yankee first game yesterday. It was raining a little bit, and I'm sure you guys are getting some bad weather now, right?
Actually, not right now. It's nice here. I don't know. I think the path might have changed a little bit, Pete. I don't know that for sure, but right now it's nice. It might happen later today, maybe tomorrow. I'm headed to Puerto Rico, so I hope.
That's where Angels
are all cleared out.
Now, why are you going down there? A little vacay?
Little vacay on Friday. So me and the lovely Caitlin are headed down to San Juan, a place I've never been.
Well, Angel could probably chime in here a second and tell you some hot spots to go to maybe in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I know friends that just got back from there a little while ago. That area, they loved it.
Yes. Angel, feel free to provide me with anything you have.
Except for, you must have mofongo, as David Ortiz used to say. I've had mofongo because it's so sweet. I don't really care for it, but there's some great food. I've been to Puerto Rico, but I know I've had Puerto Rican food. It's delicious. Go ahead, Angel.
I will put on my best A-Rod impression post-World Series. John, you have to go to the place where they sell the mofongo and the acapulcas, and just go there, say hi to the natives, and they'll be just fine. That guy, kind of can't stand him.
Could he pull it off with a Jewish accent, a Jackson-based accent, trying to have a Puerto Rican accent? I don't know. Pull that off either.
See, he could. Meter could. It's ridiculous. That's one thing I love when, it's been a while since the last time I went back to their native country, but I go there and the first thing that women say is like, look at the Americano. I'm like, yeah, keep talking. Don't worry. I hear everything you're saying, so don't worry about it. But no, San Juan, great restaurants, stuff that literally you get from the small, it's like here in the U.S. when you get like little dive restaurants is the best place where you get the meals from. But you can't go bad with, there's a dish called mofongo, which is it's a good dish. It's better back on the island than
a little sweet for me. A little sweet.
Yeah,
for me,
it is. It is a little bit, but no,
plantains, right? Plantains and a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. So you can't go wrong. You're gonna have your taste buds will absolutely insane. You come back over here, you're gonna be like, man, I need to find a Spanish restaurant somewhere in Boston. But yeah, just like A-Rod says, just go, have the fun, enjoy yourself, and you'll be just fine.
I'm going to do it in my A-Rod voice, okay? Lafungo, okay. What's in Lafungo?
I thought plantains. It's a little sweet. Depending, everybody has their own little way of doing it, but it's plantains. What else, Angel?
Yeah, some people put in like beef stew. Some people put in so you get the bananas that you use in the plantains, but a lot of them they're the green ones. And what they do is they stew them up within like a soup sauce, and they put it in there. Some people put pieces of octopus. It all depends on who cooks it. But you ask them, they'll tell you exactly what's in the meal. So therefore, you're not, in case you're allergic to shellfish or something else like that, they want to make sure obviously you're not dying while you're there. It would be a funny take. I'm pretty sure they put all over. You go viral for that one. Meter, what happened? This senor, he came to the restaurant. And I don't know. He eat them.
I don't know. How'd you get in here?
Muerto.
Exactly.
Awesome. You better take some pictures and video. I want to send some so we can put it on the show.
Oh, I'm happy to. There will not be any pictures of me in a banana hammock, but there will be some other.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine. All right. Pivoting to football if we can. I mean, I talk about food all day, but before we get into BC and your episode number 7 of the Billy O'Brien podcast, which I know it's going well, I thought it interesting. Finey had the story yesterday. I was around 3:00. He led with this yesterday on the SEC network about the SEC trying to move forward to a mandatory injury report for this upcoming season. I love it. I think at this stage, and if it happens in the SEC, it's going to trickle down to the ACC and the Power Fives, at least the Power. It should. I hope it does. There's too much misinformation. There's too much money being bet. There's too much nil money that's out there now for college football not to have. And I know it's, you're talking in the NFL, you're talking about a 53-man or a 48-man roster NFL, right? Game day. But in college, you get 90-plus guys, but I don't care. Too many times the last few years, Meter, that I put a few shekels on a team, and right before kickoff, so-and-so ain't playing because this, that, or the other thing. So I'm all for injury reports. I want it started on Tuesday. Give me my final during, game day on ESPN or whatever show you're watching at 9 o'clock in the morning where I have my final injury report, and then I will be a happier person shekel-wise. Thoughts?
Well, it's all about you, Pete. We have to make sure that.
No, I'm about the country. I'm representing the country.
We have to make sure that the ACC commissioner knows that before he makes any
Jimmy and I are real close. Jimmy P and I are like this.
Jim Phillips will make sure that it's called the Pete Shepard rule, of course. No, I think it's a good rule. I think it would be a good change. I mean, guys like me and guys who broadcast games don't hear about injuries that often in terms of we hear that the guys are hurt, and sometimes they say he just has a lower body injury or an upper body injury. So there you have to make stuff up. But, we might also hear what the real deal is, of course. I don't see Bill O'Brien as that type of coach. I think he'll tell me what so-and-so's injury is, if there is one. Belichick was notorious for not telling people what the injury was. But I think overall, if the SEC does it, you're right. I think probably people will follow in lockstep, and it is a Vegas world, Pete. You're just part of a large parade of degenerates.
No.
I use that term with all sorts of love, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hugs. It's sherry and giggles, baby. How about let's get into BC. We're getting closer to week 0. We are 16 days away from the highlight game of Georgia Tech and Florida State going at it in Dublin. I'll be rooting for Georgia Tech, just from a Canes perspective. But what's happening in the BC camp lately? Seems like a lot of good stuff.
They have a day off today. I'll be over doing another podcast with Bill O'Brien in a couple hours, but they are playing. It looks hard to tell when you're just wearing shorts. They're not in pads yet. First pads day will be Saturday. First scrimmage is on Wednesday next week. That will give you a good hint of where they're at. I've seen the last couple practices have been very intense. They're energized. They look like it's a different team from that perspective. I think you talk to any guy on the team, they'll tell you it's a much harder camp. It's more of a throwback camp. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of emphasis on fundamentals. Don't jump off sides. No false start penalties, or else you're running a lap.
It sounds like what I'll be looking at tonight, or looking at for the Patriots in Carolina at 7 o'clock. That's what I'll be with the fundamentals. That's all you can really go by in a game like this.
I think any coach in the first 5 or 6 practices will tell you that's exactly what they want to establish. Especially when you're a first-year coach like O'Brien, players know that he's going to be, he's going to be hard on them. He's going to be a hard ass, but that's good. They need that. It's a much different style. Last year was kind of Camp Good Times. This year it's much different. So, a renewed sense of enthusiasm there. I think Castellanos has noticeably improved as a passer. He looks really good, especially the practice I was at the other day. He was throwing dimes. He's got a good backup in Grayson James, a kid that played at Florida International. Got 22 starts there, so he's very capable behind him. But Castellanos is going to be a bear for opponents.
Speaking of FIU, Armando Christian Perez, you know him as Pitbull. So I think Alumni Stadium should be renamed Meter Perel Stadium. And I know you got $1 million hanging around. It won't be FIU. Invest. And then you can have a whole symposium of up on big stage at Alumni at the Heights, and you're outside sculpting young minds about the field of broadcasting. I could see that. Hey, welcome to my stadium. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that's just a matter of time, Pete. I think my partner Pete Cronin might beat me to the punch on that one. He's got much more money than I have.
How is Pete doing?
Pete's good, man.
The Super Bowl champ that he is with the Washington Redskins, or was.
Yeah, he'll gladly flash that ring.
Oh yeah,
Pete's doing great. He's a Sarasota resident. in the winter, so he's down in your neck of the woods.
Oh.
He's back up in Maine now, and we're gearing up for another great broadcast season.
Yeah, and it's what really. I mean, and you got a doozy. I mean, right out of the gate, you get Florida State after they come back from Dublin, but they get a week off in between to recover. But that is
No, they don't. No week off, Pete.
Oh, you're right. Is they'll come back? Maybe that's your event or their event, but they are back home. You have to go down to Tallahassee for that game, Meter. But it's just. Wouldn't you have rather played Duquesne? You got Duquesne week 2. Wouldn't you rather play Duquesne, kind of a tune-up game?
I actually wouldn't. I think this is great. I think this sets up really well.
Yeah.
And I know BC's a prohibitive underdog. It's already on the board, whatever. Of course they are. But also there's 30,000 less seats now at Doak Campbell Stadium because they're undergoing a renovation.
Yeah, about time, by the way.
It's down to 50,000 now, which, whatever. They'll still be they'll be loud. There's no doubt. They'll be, as Tom Brady once said, they'll be juiced up, especially for a night game. But no, I think this is a good time to play them. I think this, they lost a lot. I know they reloaded. They did a great job in the portal, yada, yada, yada. But I think, BC's could sneak up on a lot of people, and I think Florida State could be one of those.
Then, open up at Florida State, then Duquesne. 5 days later, by the way, short week, right? 3:30.
Yep.
Short week, and then at Missouri, which they're going to be they're a tough team. That's a really good football team. 12:45 on the SEC network, and you're talking about sneaking up on people. If people aren't careful with Missouri, they will sneak up on people as well. I'm sure most people in the SEC know that, though.
Missouri's really good. They got an excellent quarterback in Connor Cook, top 10 receiver, top 5 receiver in Luther Burden, who will be a first-round pick. So. Those are 2 weapons that any team would love to start with. Yeah, Missouri's, I've seen them in the top 10 already. So it's not an easy schedule. Then they come home to play, which I think is a real pivot game for BC, Michigan State.
Yep.
The red bandana game in honor of Wells Crowther. So, it's the first 4 will tell a large, we'll be sitting here September 22nd, will tell a large part of the story.
It will be, and if you're ever like 3-1 heading into the Western Kentucky game, because nothing says football at the Heights like the Hilltoppers coming in from Western Kentucky. But they usually that's another team, and I don't know who's on the roster right now. I haven't looked at it, but one thing I do know is that team is another team that usually slings the ball around pretty good.
Oh no, Billy Zappi's alma mater.
Billy Zappi, yep, alma mater, yep.
And Austin Reed, who's with the Bears. I don't know if you caught the first Hard Knocks. But
I did. I'm going to watch as soon as I get done with the show. That's my first thing today. I'm going to go watch.
There you go. Yeah, I'm still a Hard Knocks guy, even though people think it's jump the shark. I still like it. And he's on their roster, and he played there last year. He's not going to make the Bears likely. But you're right. They do like to throw the ball. Maybe a trap game. Who knows? I hope not. But yeah, it's not. And Bill O'Brien knows this. Everybody else who follows BC knows this. The schedule's not easy, but it is what it is. You go play it, and you hope you come out of September with a record above 500.
The ultimate slap on the wrist, and I've been talking about it all week. Jim Harbaugh, it's just hysterical. Listening, we played the speech he made, the "I am not a crook" speech from a couple of days ago, a la Richard Nixon type. It was an updated version of Nixon's speech in 75, whatever it was, and. Absolutely hysterical. And then the NCAA, and it's not Charlie Baker's fault. They have no autonomy at all. There's no power there at all. So the bottom line is he can't coach in college football until 2029. If he does, he has to sit out a year. Lottie freaking da. That's all the NCAA can do. It is a joke. They're not going to take away championships. They're not going to take away wins. Players aren't going to get suspended. Nothing like that. Just, hey, coach, you can't come back to the college football until 2029. Totally expected that.
Yeah, and my response if I was Harbaugh would be, I'm not coming back anyway. I have this rather large contract with the Chargers that I think I'm okay, and then I'm probably going to retire. So, you hit it. It's a slap on the wrist. Clearly, there's guilt all around in that program. I guess they had to do something just to show people that they mean business. But like Charlie Baker, you like Charlie Baker. We're biased because of the Massachusetts connection. But he's
powerless. I like him. The last time I saw him was when Strag opened up their new place and
Oh, yeah.
not Braintree, Burlington, way back. It was 2010.
Yeah,
That's the last,
I told you this before.
talked-
I've known Charlie since he was going to Harvard basketball games in 2001 with his dad, because he played at Harvard.
Yeah.
And I would talk to him all the time because I was broadcasting the games.
Mhm.
And he was in the healthcare business. Great guy. And we struck up a friendship. And I remember saying this. I jokingly said to him, "You got to run for office. You'll make an impact. I could see you." I don't know if I said the State House or whatever. And he just laughed at me. And he says, "I don't know if I'm gonna do that. It's a paper."
Yeah.
But-
Becomes governor and now the NCAA president. But
Yeah, so I knew him when, but
yeah, it's just unfortunate. The NCAA, it's not his. They can't get out of their own way. It has nothing to do with him. Although the guy who was there before him, I thought was an absolute tool. I don't think Charlie Baker is anything close to a tool or anything like that. But you're powerless. I mean, the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten rule, to a degree. The Big 12. There's no Pac-12 anymore. But we know that the inevitable is going to happen. The Power Five, or whatever's left of them, are going to secede and form their own little organization, as we say at the end, and that'll be that. And nobody will care. Nobody cares if any of the schools you're rooting for are part of the NCAA, because what does that mean? What does the NCAA have to do with everything? They're all going to get the separate TV contracts. We're all going to make millions and millions of dollars. That was plain. But you know what I mean, Meter. It's, eventually it's inevitable. They will secede and form their own organization.
yeah, I don't know when. I mean, you are correct, I would assume. I'd probably say in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to go higher, go 10. But yeah, I could see a top 60, top 70. It's a mess. It's a total mess. I think people just get tired of it and just want to play the games, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's just go play. We know there's issues. We know there's politics. We know there's money. But let's just go play. Here comes week 0 in 16 days.
Absolutely. Can't wait. All right, Meter, anything else you want to plug? What else you got going on? When are you back from Puerto Rico so I don't bother you next week?
No, I'll be back midweek. You can bother me, Pete.
Thursday?
You're not a bother. I'm just going to say, hey, what's up, LaFuego?
Get away from me, boy. You bother me.
Yeah. ¿Cómo estás, Pedro?
Mofongo. And don't say
Mofongo.
fuck you. Don't say fuck you by I say mofongo. I can.
That I do not want to do.
All right, man. Have a good time with the lovely lady. You're gonna have a blast. And,
I'm going to tease you with something.
Yes. Ooh, I love being.
I do have a big announcement coming up.
Ooh.
I don't know if I could do it next week, but maybe the week after.
Really?
Of another venture that I'm involved with.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'll tease you with that, and someone from a national perspective.
Really?
Yes.
Excellent. And if you need help, let me know. All right, buddy. Thanks so much. All the best. John Meter Perel, play-by-play voice.
Thanks, boys.
Yep. Enjoy your weekend.
Catch them on ACC Network and ESPN platforms for college basketball.
Is it okay if I say in San Juan, Angel Martinez sent me?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And they were like, "Oh, that pendejo gringo from the United States." Yeah, we know who he is.
Los Estados Unidos.
Exactly. You'll learn it all, but 2 days into it, someone will come and gravitate towards you, like, "Oh, did you see the guy over there? He's in the radio. Just bring him over. We teach him all kinds of Spanish. He'll be just fine."
All right, Mira. Adios, muchacho.
Adios, boys.
See you, John.
Vaya con Dios.
All right, I was going to take a break, but I'm not going to take a break. Meter, thanks so much, because we're going to go right into our next guest. By the way, Angel, your show coming up today at 10 o'clock?
No, I still got one more thing left here to do, and I'll be back tomorrow, so I still got one more thing to clean up.
Steve Buchanan from DraftKings, MLB and NFL analyst. My God, I knew you when you were just starting out. You are the little acorn that's become the oak.
Pete, it's an absolute pleasure, man. We have a long storied history together, my friend.
Man, you were doing this fantasy football stuff and doing it well way before DraftKings and FanDuel became what they were. And man, I couldn't be more proud of you. I mean, you worked your tail off, and obviously your information has been solid. You don't get hired by DraftKings if you're just some average schmo fantasy player like myself, who just waits on Sunday for the injury report come out and then pray that my 25-cent team can win the actual $100,000. But tell everybody about yourself a little bit. We see you on TV a lot, and what made you? How'd you get started in this way back?
Oh man, yeah, this was this started, my first gig was a poker radio. I mean, Bernard Lee started with him way back in the day, but went to broadcasting school, always wanted to be involved in, like the radio, television business. And then, way back, I mean, I've been with DraftKings for almost 10 years now, and
it's amazing.
Really kind of when they started, and I was lucky enough to get in early, and just the journey has really taken me in so many different avenues. And we briefly saw each other at Super Bowl earlier this year, which was just madness, by the way. Like, there's no sleep during Super Bowl week, but it's been great.
No coffee either, or water for us in the media.
Oh no, not at all.
I love my
not
bag.
at all.
I love my ultimate bags of Doritos and Ruffles chips. I mean, that was really that's fucking Vegas.
But it's been awesome, man, and it really is cool, and I'm glad we're able to link up again here today.
Definitely, we got to do this more often. So, all right, so here we are in the midst of right about now, right? You do the MLB analysis as well. By the way, I had the over last night in the Detroit Seattle game, under 5.5 runs. I took the over, and it was anyway. I know you, but you do MLB analysis, like fantasy stuff, college football. That too, but NFL analysis. Fantasy football is heating up. This is the time of year where people will go nuts, and people in sports bars can pay off everybody. And within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there's parties, crazy, all these fantasy football, stuff. So, are you psyched for this? Is this a fun time a month for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is when, the off season is finally starting to play out here. We're seeing teams take the field for the first time. Obviously, Patriots taking the field for the first time. We're going to get our first look at Drake May here. So it really is kind of a great spot where there's plenty of talk during the off season, all the speculation of what teams are going to do. And now this is when we're going to start seeing those things kind of come to life and come to fruition with these teams taking the field. So really excited, really looking forward to that there. But it's coming, baby. When those leaves start changing, that's the time, man. That's the time. Lucky for me, I do football and baseball, so I got the entire calendar covered. There really is no off season because when one ends, another one's kind of revving up here. So it's perfect mix of sports that you have.
Well, you know where I am in Southwest Florida, Fort Myers. We don't have that foliage thing.
Sure.
We just watched the palms trees blowing in the wind. And
yeah.
Hopefully it's not a hurricane or a tropical storm like we just got whacked last week with Debbie, that bitch. Anyway,
coming our way now.
I know. Be safe. Anyway, so now are you just doing fantasy stuff as well, or are you doing like other MLB and college and NFL and analysts?
So I do a lot of the betting stuff for DraftKings, obviously fantasy stuff as well. But sports betting has just become such a conglomerate there that we do a lot of sports betting talk as well, which is really what I like as well. I probably would have told you to take the under in that Detroit Seattle game last night. So probably good that we're getting together now. But it's I do a lot of the betting stuff, and I do love working with that.
Well, and my reasoning behind it was that I had a small parlay, but with the Royals last night, I thought they weren't going to get swept. And I just saw that line because the line, at least down here in the heart, we can't get DraftKings down here yet.
Sure.
We don't have the Hard Rock app in Florida, so I apologize. But the down here, that run line was 5.5 last night. And I don't care who's playing. And I said this on the show today. I said, look, normally all the smart guys are going to tell you, you got to go under, you got to go under. It's like a 31 total in a football game, not exhibition, but
sure,
you got to go under. If it's that low, they know something about. But in baseball, I see 5.5 runs in this day and age. I'm not. There's very few games that have under 6 runs scored nowadays. Everything else. And I know it took Detroit after the 7th inning. I think it was 2-2 in the 7th. And then I was falling asleep, and then they got exploded. I woke up. I was like, 6-2. I was like, okay.
Yeah, Detroit really had a good top of the 9th inning there. I'll tell you, man, Seattle is a good team, but they are one of the worst hitting clubs in the league. They made a couple moves during the trade deadline. They brought in like Randy Arozarena. They brought in Justin Turner to kind of jumpstart that offense, because if they actually had a decent offense, that team would be almost unbeatable because the pitching is immaculate over in Seattle, but they cannot piece it together at the plate, and that's been like their biggest detriment almost for like a year and a half now, Pete. They strike out more than any other team. They're just they got a couple of holes to plug in that team, but they're very frustrating because they should be one of the elite teams in baseball right now.
Does DraftKings have, I mean, there's a lot of player prop bets and all that stuff. What about, like, and I just bring up the Red Sox. This is the speediest team I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm older than you. I'm 57. And maybe the most athletic Red Sox team I've seen in my lifetime. But the speed and the incredibly 99% of the time great base running, those stats coming out at all on DraftKings, when you're analyzing a team and how well the Red Sox have done and overachieved, not just on offense, but just running the bases.
They're incredible. And like Duran specifically is someone who is just like an unearthly talent. Like you think about some of the fastest guys in the league right now, like Jarren Duran, Bobby Witt Jr., who the Red Sox just saw over the past couple of days, Ellie De La Cruz over with the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah. But what makes those guys interesting from a betting perspective is one of my favorite bets is taking over under total bases for a hitter. So basically it's usually set at 1.5. So it's one of those ones where it doesn't matter what they do after a hit, it's from just a hit. So if it's a single, obviously 1 base, double 2 bases. So 2 bases.
Pass balls too, right? Pass ball, wild pitch.
Pass balls do not count. It's only from what, that is such
that is outrageous.
I agree. It's like people always. Pete, I'll tell you, my DMs are a massacre, right? Because
they blame you. They blame you for it.
Blame me because it's my fault that they didn't go over or under. But that is such a misconception that if a pass ball or something counts as a total base, it's only from the event after they hit the ball. So single, double, triple, home run. Those are the only ways.
No hit by pitch either. Nothing like that.
Nope. None of that. Just the hits. But those guys are willingly, taking these extra bases and whatnot. So those are great guys to target if you're going over total bases like 1.5. Because Duran, I think, leads the league in triples at this point. Like he is just such an unearthly talent. So the speed that we're seeing in this game, stolen bases, total bases, those are really good bets to target for guys like that. And the Red Sox specifically, with all the speed they have been crushing those type of bets.
Hey, what about sac flies? Does that count?
Those do not count either because that actually doesn't even log as
outrageous.
I know that's only a plate appearance that is not in at bat because you're sacrificing yourself. So that doesn't count either. Just hits, singles, doubles, triples, home runs.
One for a single count? Yeah, I know it does.
That would count, yes. That would count.
How about, our executive producer extraordinaire host here, Angel Martinez. He's from Philadelphia, even though he lives in Tampa now. Big Philadelphia Phillies fan. And so what Schwarber did last night, again, another 3-homer game. Now, I know there are prop bets out there, right? If you hit 2+ home, that must have been a tremendous payout if DraftKings had something like that last night. And the Phillies in general, obviously, been one of the best teams in the league all year.
Yeah, Schwarber to hit 2 home runs last night was 35-1. Oh, right. 3 home runs. I didn't even know if that's on the board because that's such a rare occurrence. But if I had a guess, if it was 3 home runs, you're talking 75, 80-1 odds for him to do that. Granted, you're putting maybe a dollar on that at best to hit 3 home runs because it's such a rare occurrence. But there were a lot of people posting last night, Pete, about him to hit 2 home runs and people cashing that 35-1 ticket, which is, a huge payday, right? Like you put the price of a large coffee on there, all of a sudden you got a few $100 in your account because of that. So that was a big payday for a lot of people yesterday. I don't know what it was that got people on that specifically, but I saw a lot of tickets last night and I was like, well, where the hell did I miss this? Because I wanted it on that too myself. But there was a lot of people that cashed that last night.
Again, speaking with Steve Buchanan, draft MLB and NFL analyst for DraftKings. So let me ask you this, without sounding awkward or everything. DraftKings, player prop bets, it's been in the news lately, different things, blah, blah, blah. What can you tell me just from your own perspective? You don't have to reveal any secrets or anything like that. But when you heard about some of the stories, you go, oh, shit. What the hell is going on? But see, without legalized betting, none of us would have known this. So that's why I think it's a good thing for some of these stories that have popped up.
Oh, about athletes.
The prop, betting on themselves. And that
so it's just, to me, like, I almost kind of think of it as like if you're taking like PEDs, right? You're gonna get caught at some point, right? Like, there's so many checks and balances when it comes to especially gambling too, because even though the leagues are embracing it as a whole, because quite frankly, ratings are up everywhere. I'm watching sports I might never watch because I'm betting on them, right? Like, it brings
cricket,
darts. Oh, please, when COVID was going, Pete, I'm not even kidding. When COVID was going on, Pete, I was betting on Korean baseball that would start at 2 a.m.
Everybody was.
I mean, it was insane. But it brings those casual fans to sports that they would never do it. And obviously the leagues are embracing that. However, there have to be these checks and balances here. So, athletes obviously not able to do that because, we don't want like a Black Sox, type thing that happened way, way back in the day where they obviously threw the World Series. Right. Yeah. So, I just think it's so stupid that it's so difficult to become an athlete and get paid all this money, and you're going to throw it away because you couldn't, not make your 6-leg parlay for, that night's Major League Baseball slate. So, luckily we haven't heard something like that as of late. It feels like that really hasn't been a big story lately, and I hope it kind of stays that way, because really it's unfortunate to see these young athletes throw their careers away for something that really was like so just not needed, right? Yeah. Like, you have your whole future ahead of you. Focus on that.
Here's what I don't understand. So say I'm me, but Tom Brady type, Peyton Manning type, whatever. Why do guys use their own name? If I was going to do this, I would go to a friend of a friend of a friend, or a relative, have it removed from me at least 4 or 5 times. Call up somebody else, but say, hey, put $500,000, put $100,000 on this for me. I think I'm going to have a. Why do they always use their own names? If you're going to do it properly. Get your name out of it.
I mean, look, we're definitely not out here teaching education to some of these people. I mean, it's very, very, very obvious. I'm trying to remember the kid who got popped. I want to say he was from the Lions or something. It was one of the younger receivers that got popped. I mean, he couldn't have made. I think his username was his name. It was like, are you kidding me? Like, if you're gonna do something like this, like, try to be a little bit smart about it. Because again, they're checking these things. They don't want this type of behavior happening. So, I mean, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Hands up on that one, but at least be a little bit smarter about it, for Christ's sake.
So when stuff like this happens, or do your bosses come to you, like, you maybe don't know about it, but what's the chain of command like over there, without revealing any super secrets or anything else? Because I think this fascinates people behind the scenes. You're a big wig now at DraftKings, and if a red flag does go up, I'll bet that gets to you immediately, does it not?
I'll be honest, Pete, I have nothing to do with that realm, and I'm glad that I have nothing to do with that realm. I promote, what's going on in the sports book, what's going on with DraftKings. I don't really have anything to do with that type of operation, and I'm glad to. Honestly, I don't wash my hands of that, keep me clean of that. I'll read about it in the news. I don't want to read about it when I get to work. That stuff I want nothing to do with, and I'm happy with that. But, there is a lot of stuff that goes on, like within leagues, and talking to these operators and stuff, and like I said, honestly, I'm so glad I have nothing to do with that at all.
Something you do have to do with tonight, and it's interesting. Exhibition football. I know it began with the Hall of Fame game last week. And my philosophy is, I just bet the under in every single game. Same amount every single game. Just bet the under. You're more than likely in preseason going to come out ahead. Tonight, 2 games: Patriots and home against the Panthers, Detroit at the Giants. How much action you guys going to see tonight just on these 2 games alone?
A lot. Because quite frankly, because here's the thing, Pete, too, is that at this juncture of the season, this might be where you get some of the biggest edges in these preseason games, because if you can do your research, if you know what the depth chart looks like for some of these teams, this is an opportunity to, is a particular player only going to be playing a few snaps, or, this player going to be in for multiple quarters or whatnot. So like, this is like the only opportunity where you get that type of information if you dig for it, and you can take advantage of it. And I think that's really where people like to take advantage of that. Unders, like you mentioned, are huge. Game total unders are huge for these preseason games because teams are trying things out. They're not trying for the scoreboard here. They're trying to figure out who they're going to be playing on week 1, who's going to make the team, who's not. And unders, like, both these games tonight, 33.5 total for the Panthers, Patriots, 34.5 for the Lions. So unders have been huge too as well.
I shall tease both to the under.
There you go. Hey, there you go.
Even better. I'm a big tease guy, and especially what's the limit? Like I know before on Bovada, when you do multiple teams, you can do in college and NFL, you can do 13 points either on the total or the game. What's the max on DraftKings at the total tease? I know a lot of places don't go above 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe it's 10 that you can go, the highest that you can go there. But obviously, 6-point teasers are extremely popular. People love teasing those teams down if they're favored by 6, getting them down to a pick. Like, that's obviously huge. But 10 is the highest you can go on DraftKings.
That's great. So you're expecting a lot of action when you're, as an analyst. So how do you approach preseason football? Because they don't like us saying exhibition football, preseason. So how do you approach it?
Yeah, honestly,
I'm sorry, because you talked about the depth charts and everything else. Still, it's so hard because coaches will say, like Doug Peterson 2 weeks ago, yeah, the starters are going to play in a couple of games. All right, but you don't say how long. I mean, is it one series? The big difference playing a quarter or a series. So how do you try to get in dissect and analyze that information or lack thereof?
I will tell you, Pete, the best thing that you can do is, if you're going to be betting on a preseason game, follow or at least read the Twitter accounts for the beat reporters for that team. They are going to have the best information out there about how long teams are going to be playing certain players, who's going to be playing in the series, and that's where you're going to find the edge for these preseason games. I think the preseason is a great spot to do some player props. If you want to tease some of these totals up or down, you can do that. I usually don't do that during the regular season because I think there's not as much value there, but during the preseason, I think there is some value there. But follow these beat reporters for teams that they follow because they are the ones that are injected into these teams the most, and that's where you're going to get that really good information. So kind of going through those Twitter accounts is huge, and it will give you that advantage that you need for some of these games. And really, because most casuals just look at this and go, this is my favorite team, I'm going to go with that. That's not really the way to go. So I think that's the way to do it, Pete.
Is it tough? We're setting up an NFL roster on DraftKings. Say you watch game day or whatever you're watching, and you get the final injury report. How much do you factor in garbage time if you're doing player prop bets, as far as because the fantasy football numbers and the prop bets, like in DraftKings, they almost go hand in hand. Guys don't care if they win or lose. Sometimes it's how much yards am I going to get, which translates into betting on prop bets.
Yeah, I think that's that is a really big one there. I think that like I mentioned, the prop bets are huge. There's so much information out there, and it really, really is something that you want to hone in on, because I actually like betting props way, way more than I like betting games. I think those are really, again, where you can beat the market, especially with injuries too, and any injury reports. You got to keep your eyes on that because the number's going to fluctuate tremendously throughout the week there. So I really think the injury reports you have to watch there. But player props, Pete, I'm telling you, if you are going to hone in on anything this upcoming season, look at those props. Those are going to be massive for you.
All right, my friend. Thanks so much. I know you got a TV hit coming up, I'm sure, or something like that. So anything else you want to plug before we let you go? We got to do this again soon.
Yeah, of course, anytime. But DraftKings Network is our channel there. We got a website with a plethora of information. I write for there too as well. I'll be posting a lot of NFL and MLB content. S Buchanan 24 is my Twitter handle. And Pete, I would love to do this anytime, man. It was great to catch up with you. And please, by all means, I'd love to do this, man. This would be great.
This would be great. It'd be great if DraftKings wants to sponsor this show.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
So I'll have my, give me if you can, text me a couple of names. I'll have our sales managers check them out. So, all right, then we can make this a weekly segment, and it'd be great. And
sure thing, man. Of course.
Awesome. You're the best, Steve. Thanks so much.
Really all right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, go get them.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Buchanan, MLB and NFL draft analyst for DraftKings. That was awesome, huh, Angel? He's such a good guy.
No, it's a huge amount of energy. I wanted to ask him too, but I know he probably had to go. But
he did. He had to do it. He texted me. He had to do a TV hit.
Yeah, so. No, and and that's fine. But I like it the same way. Well, I'll ask you too, because you're a betting person. So during the regular season, Pete, what is just, like let's say you had $20 to put down for that evening, or for that Sunday, what's a somewhat, and it's nothing's ever guaranteed, but what's something like a kind of a surefire semi-guaranteed that you can make your money back on?
You're talking about football, or you're talking about any sport?
No, I'm going to take football for the moment because we were just talking about football.
So exhibition football, like I said, I don't think there's any surefire thing in exhibition football. I don't think there's any surefire thing anyway. And the people who say all the time, well, if it looks like a sure bet, then probably isn't. Sometimes it is a sure bet, but sometimes it isn't. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I think exhibition football, like I said, I just stick with unders because you don't know. The unders, I think the last couple of years have hit between like 66 and 68% in preseason football if you bet the same all the time. But a lot of people don't do that. And Steve is right. Follow some of the local beat writers who get a better idea of who's going to play and who's not going to play. Like, I don't know how long Jacoby Brissett's going to play tonight. Is it going to be one series, two series? Is Drake May going to play a half? I really don't know.
That was a good thing that he had mentioned there, and I'll bring up Joey B's comment. I'll say here in a moment, but that was good though. I never even thought about that as far as like what he talked about. If you wanted the best insights to follow the beat reporters because they have the best, which everybody knows they have the best insights. But as far as when it comes to like prop bets and stuff, that's pretty good.
Yeah, really. If you follow, you read your favorite reports, see who's doing what in practice. If somebody's sick, somebody may be on the injury report. You got the serious, whales out there that are, everything, and they want to know if the wife is throwing up or something the night before a game. They want every single last detail to make sure they can get in somebody's head or can plan around that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Joey says, great segment with Steve, high energy guy. Got me amped without drinking any coffee this morning. Then he said, Steve, the uncle at Sunday dinner, talking with his hands at the head of the table. Epic. Love his energy. Great guest. Yeah, we're going to get him on, and I'm serious, and hopefully we will get DraftKings to come on and sponsor the show, and why not? Because we're going to talk tons of football, but I love the fact that he also does a lot of baseball analysis as well, which is great. It keeps people interested. That's how a lot of people are betting through DraftKings and other sites on player prop bets, at least to get you interested in the game. And now it's legal on the whole, so it's great. Joey says, Pete and Angel, you see the Cleveland Browns' new stadium proposal? Didn't they just build a new stadium like 12 years ago? Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't seen it yet, but everybody wants a Super Bowl. And I forget, Joey, if they want a dome on that or not. I hope not. I hate cold weather places that want to put domes on stadiums. I think we've wussified the part of being in the NFL, which makes it great, is that you have to play in the Northeast or parts in the Midwest, and there's always a potential outside of a blizzard.
Yep.
And now you don't get it in Minnesota anymore. You don't get it in Detroit anymore. College you do sometimes, but I'm not a big fan of domed stadiums in with potential cold weather cities because that's part of your advantage is playing that way.
Yeah. Well,
also in those conditions.
Since Joey B brought it up, Philly Sports Trips with Vince Rizzuto, who has been a partner of mine for the last 3 years, going on 3, over on Broad Street South. But he's he has now where, and I'll bring up Joey B's comment here in a moment. Normally, as I mentioned, I think we had talked about it maybe 2 days ago, is that he normally travels with Eagles fans, and because Eagles fans travel well, they go everywhere together, and he charters the entire plane. Well, he just teamed up with the Cleveland Browns, so his business now will be, for the first time, is chartering out a Browns plane to head out to away games, and they do an excellent job. So Browns fans, if you guys are listening in, Philly Sports Trips, you guys can visit them on their website as well at phillysportstrips.com. Vince Rizzuto, his sister actually, who left her full-time job to now work with her brother, will be taking over the Philly side. He's doing a Cleveland side, but from start to finish, you have such a great time. He has buses that are chartered. So you go from the hotel directly. You feel truthfully like an athlete. It's the way he gets things done. So you guys can visit phillysportstrips.com because you will definitely have a great time with those folks. And Joey B says that, yes, the new Cleveland Stadium proposal is an indoor-outdoor plan, which that seems like that's where everybody's going. And yeah, because you're right, Pete, they probably want to host a future Super Bowl. So
of course,
right.
Once you get the stadium built with a dome on it, it's fine. It's not just a Super Bowl. You get Final Fours, you get bigger concert venues. I mean, there's a whole. I get it. I just hate seeing, and I think Cleveland fans as well. I don't think would like a dome stadium, but it's all about money, and it's all about, it's all about money. It's all about. Let's
see this.
Pharrell, and thanks to Steve Buchanan from DraftKings, MLB, and NFL analysis. What's coming up today on the network before we say adios?
Just really a bunch of updates that I still have to get done. So there's a few things left to tweak to make sure everything looks good on there on the site. And again, we ask everyone to please visit sr1029thegame.com. Download the app directly from the website in case you missed it. It is on the homepage. You guys will see 3 arrows pointing up. It's a green little square with a bunch of pictures of all kinds of Apple devices stuff on there. Click on that, download it, follow the instructions. Super simple. Rick Marcus says the heat will be up there today. Stay cool, guys. Yeah, and it will be, Rick. You too, as you're out there on the tarmac.
I tell you, I was out this morning, and it was hard to breathe. I was having coffee out in my back lanai this morning with Peanut Gallery, and it was tough. For the first time, it was like, wow, it was really oppressive this morning down here in Southwest Florida anyway. Take the under tonight in both games. Under 33.5 in the Patriots, under in the under 34.5 in the Detroit Giants game. Take the under and in both games. That's my recommendation anyway. Tomorrow, another great show coming up. Glenn Ordway, the Big O, the Round Mound of Sound, will join me live from Phoenix at 9:30. And I have somebody else coming up too, and I can't remember who it is. I have to go back to my notes. Anyway, for Angel Martinez, and I am Pete Shepard. You guys have been great. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support and listening across the, not only on the app, but on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. I'm back tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Angel, yes.
GPG says, great show, guys. Awesome guest. You guys are doing great.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Tell your friends. Bye.